believe.
Look at us now, tip to
Jesus.
Shout out to Morning Kombat.
Do you want a margarita? Yes! My God!
It's us doing what we love. But it's time to bang. Oh, yeah, let's go. Let's do this thing. Monday, September 29th of the 25. This right here. Morning Kombat. Hey, how are you? Happy to be here. Brian Campbell, one half of your hosting duo, live and direct from Alphaville in Connecticut. And, of course, the man next to me today, Luke Thomas of Washington, D.C. We've got a show for you. We're going to recap UFC Perth. We're going to react to the big announcement between TKO, Zuffa Boxing, and my company, Paramount CBS, and also look ahead to the big storylines of this weekend's fights. Maybe even bring up Wanderlei Silva getting sent to the basement room of Hades. Hey, Luke Thomas, how are you, bro? You still there? What's going on?
Bro, everything's coming up. Campbell, huh? Look at this. Nice turn of the screw for you. You got the first interview with Dana, right?
Yeah.
And you know, there's gonna be Zuffa Boxing at your place and UFC at your place. Now, as I understand it, I know we'll talk about this in a minute. The Zuffa Boxing deal is 5 years.
That was not in the press release or came out of Dana's mouth to me, but I'm told. But it was in one of the, I think, Front Office Sports or one of those reports had that.
Okay,
yes.
all right. Because I was gonna say I didn't see anything in the press release, and then I saw some people sharing that, and I'm like, well, which is it? Either way, buddy, there, it's incoming traffic over there for you.
Yeah, what a you know, I'm used to getting screwed, Luke, lately. I mean, you know, not in the traditional sense, of course. I'm a married man, but I mean, and now, yes, now we've tamed the screw. I think that's a literary reference. Yeah. There we go, right there. Yeah, what a time to be alive here at Paramount CBS. I am expecting some fun and big things ahead. Just don't kill me, folks. Okay. All right. It's a new time in journalism. All right. Thank you very much. There we go. Fantastic to be here. LT, are there riots in the streets of DC? Everything going okay?
No, streets are pretty empty, actually.
Okay,
so,
good. Okay,
yeah.
good. Yeah, maybe
Also, it was a little hot this weekend. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, dude, this weather's been fantastic. I mean, how boring is this show? Talk about the weather.
Yeah. I know. Two douchebags in their 40s. What? The weather's nice.
Yeah. Follow us below. You can like and subscribe. Shout out to everybody watching on the DraftKings Network. The same out to you on YouTube. Maybe even hello to your audio-only listeners like Aaron Bronstetter, who listens to Have You Seen This Shit and doesn't watch it. Very interesting.
Bro, have you seen this? You ever had this one?
What is that thing?
So this is fres. Fres is a colita. This is I think I know this is packaged in Miami, but I think you can get it basically in big parts of Latin America. This is their 0-calorie one, brother.
Is it an energy drink, Luke?
No, just normal like soda. You know what I mean?
Right.
And it has and it's caffeine free. Caffeine free. Dude, this one tastes amazing. This is an amazing drink. Highly recommended. Fres
out to all you people there. Also, folks, let me tell you another thing. Merch. It's the end of September here, the final days. You want your exclusives at morningkombat.shop. Get them right freaking now. Black Liver Society hoodies, t-shirts brought to you by Average Joe Art. The Luke Thomas Cracker Barrel shirt for all you crackers out there. And, of course, the autographed TMNT Morning Kombat poster. Mix and match your color options. Check out our evergreen shit too over there at morningkombat.shop. And just a reminder, come October, which is right around the corner, new designs will be coming your way and they will not be here forever. So you take advantage of your merch needs. All proceeds and profits go to BCLT. And the third member of our program, he's a producer, director, a ruthless streamer these days of undercards. He is Long Island Luke Nocita of the Main Card Minute. Yeah,
boys. Yeah. I don't have a colita with me, but you know, drinking some coffee instead. You know,
yeah, a little bit of coffee.
Did you stream the entire Australian Main Card?
Not only did I stream Not only did I stream the entire card, Luke, went perfect betting on the card, by the way. Main
Wow.
card, absolutely perfect.
Wow.
Neil Magny, thank God the ref fixed that shit, because if that fight ended in the first round, would have lost that bet, but hit the over 1.5. So thank you to that ref. Good weekend, boys. Good weekend.
Wow.
Wow. Hey,
Holy
wait,
shit.
Long Island.
Well, it was a good weekend for your betting. I don't know if it was a good weekend for your girlfriend. I mean, you know.
Yeah, I
Well,
was
it also
gonna-
wasn't a good weekend for the Geelong Cats, my dad's team. They did lose in the final. but,
Oh, and that thing on
valiant
Sunday that was like competing with the UFC in Australia.
It was technically our Friday night, so it was a day before the UFC, but we watched it. I watched it like pre-gaming for the Perth card. So
Nice.
You know, I wonder if we're giving Luke Nocita's dad's libido too much praise, right? You know what I mean?
Maybe.
Yeah.
I mean, he may have been horned up years ago, but now he
Yeah.
can be an old POS. Luke Nocita, do you like your coffee like you like your women or what?
No comment. I like my coffee black, though. I'll say that.
Wow.
All right, yeah, get after.
Wow.
All right. We do have a decent show ahead of you. Anything else, Luke Thomas, you want to tell the people? You got anything to pump right now? I mean, you know, besides your own.
Besides cranking my own genitals.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'll have some stuff out this weekend today, as a matter of fact. So stay tuned.
On LGBTQ.
Okay, dad jokes. We're going back to the well on this one. We're going back to the well. I don't know. We'll see.
All right. Hey, we might as well get into this fantastic program that is right in your face hole. So let's do it with topic number 1. Hey, the Tour of Tafa was canceled this weekend, but UFC Perth still went off over there at the western rim of Australia. And we did get a main event that mattered, and we did get a decisive finish as Carlos Ulberg quickly dispatched a streaking 35-year-old Dominick Reyes, stopping him in the first round with a 2-punch combo and a little GNP to finish the job. There's no question that this sets Black Jag up to face the winner of the UFC 320 Magomed Ankalaev versus Alex Pereira fight. Or is there? You could also ask Yuri versus Khalil that same night, that same question. But Luke Thomas, I kind of echo here the idea that he may have passed the line here. So the question is, based on this performance really being the most decisive to date against either elite or sub-elite opponent here, do you like Ulberg's chances, regardless of what happens in that Yuri versus Khalil fight, to get that next shot? Because 9 wins in a row is hard to come by. And when you go out there and decisively finish Dom Reyes the way he did, yeah, you got our attention.
I had someone ask me this last week, BC, which was, oh, don't you think at light heavyweight we have a similar situation to what we at least previously had at middleweight, where Hamzat's the champion, and then on one side of the bracket was Fluffy RDR. We know that Fluffy is out, but for a moment in time, that was one side of the bracket. Then the other side of the bracket was Imavov and Bahalio. And the question was, don't we have something similar at 205, namely on one side, Ulberg and Reyes, and then the other side, Yuri and Khalil. And I don't think that analogy works exactly the same. I mean, I suppose on some level it is true, right? Where Roundtree, if he goes and beats Yuri Prochazka, this would obviously extend the win streak. It maybe would be the best win of his career. I mean, there's a lot you could do from that. So that's important. For Yuri, he obviously got back against Jamal Hill. If he wins, then, you know, especially if Ankalaev ends up emerging champion, fresh matchup, if he gets a spectacular knockout, you couldn't rule that out. But it just seems to me like Ulberg's the guy. The win streak is I think the third longest among light heavyweight streaks ever. I think 9 wins or something like that. Like
Tied for second.
Tied for second. Yeah, sorry for second. Excuse me. So I mean, it's not the same as John Jones's win streak, but it's any win. What Fight Metric one time told me, like, it's very rare actually for, and this was a few years ago, so it might have changed now, but like a lot of fighters never in the UFC never ever develop even 3-fight win streaks. It's actually, like, you know, not unheard of course, but, you know, statistically anyway, not the most common thing. We're on a guy here with the second longest one in this division ever. That has to be respected. More to the point, BC, you know, listen, I wanted to take a flyer on the Dominick Reyes story. I really did. I wanted to see him turn that corner and become, you know, to prove why skepticism can be real, but not to always be obeyed. But of course, dude, we don't get endings like that in MMA. It's fucking brutal. And the reality is Ulberg's speed, the game plan by Reyes, which I do want to dig into when we have time here in a minute. Dude, Ulberg dispatched him. Ulberg did exactly what he was supposed to do. I don't really like the idea of him flying overseas and becoming the backup for this coming Saturday's main event, although, you know, not the worst thing in the world. But you get my point. Like, I thought that the scales were tilted in his favor anyway, and then he delivered exactly what he needed to do. BC, do I think he can beat either of those guys? I wouldn't favor him to do it, but you gotta respect what he's put together. It's very impressive. His time is due.
Yeah, I mean, he may be 34 years old, and the whole thing about him only being 11 months younger than Reyes surprised a lot of people, although the experience gap obviously was wider, but it didn't matter. He looks like he's in his 27-year-old prime there. The elusiveness, the power, the speed, the accuracy on his punches. It was extremely impressive, the manner in which he went in there, how he carried himself, the poise, and then the way he delivered the finish right there. I've doubted people's credentials or ability in the past, but then you get sometimes the performance. I thought Lerone Murphy did the same thing. I didn't take him so seriously as a contender. Then he did what he did to Aaron Pico there, and it really opens your eyes. I don't know, by the way, if he's going to get the Volk shot next or if he's going to get passed over by Movsar, but I really feel like when you add in the fact that there's been a lot of parity in this division, that both Yuri and Khalil, who will be facing off, have tried and failed for the title in recent years. Yuri twice, of course, after having been champion. This is the fresh matchup we need. This is a, fresh-faced guy. I mean, Luke, I don't need to tell you how handsome he is either, but when you have the performances he had in recent fights against big names where he didn't steal your heart, where he didn't show you that he's got something for whoever will be champion by the time he gets there, I think this performance changed that. I agree with you that would be too premature to favor him against either guy due to their skill set, due to the devastating power that Pereira brings, etc. But talk about putting yourself in position. That's exactly what this gentleman did. And by this gentleman, I don't necessarily mean Mr. October, but his month is starting very soon. Let's hear from one Carlos Ulberg about where he believes he stands after such a dominant performance.
Speaking to Hunter earlier in the cage or just after the fight, I told him that, I asked him to fly me to Vegas. He said, sweet, all good. So we're good now. We're going to fly to Vegas. And then I also said then and there, but I didn't confirm. And I said, I will be the backup for that fight. I'm here to break records, man, and this is what I want to do. I don't think anyone has. I don't think from the top of my head is. I don't think anyone has fought a fight and then also the very next weekend fight for the title. That's what I envision. That's what I feel like can happen. So I put it in the air. I said but I just want to be there. I want to be there anyway at first, but then if they can make me the backup, that'd be awesome. If anyone falls out, then I'm there. I'll get the job done. Both guys would be massive for sure. Fighting Pereira will be historical, massive. He's got a big following. Everyone loves the guy. And finishing someone like him would be awesome or fighting someone like him would be great on its own. But then when you look at Ankalaev, who's been dominant and he's also beaten Pereira. You beat someone like him, it just means you're at the top. It means no one can touch you. And that's what I want. I want to make sure I beat the best. So if you want to be the best, if you want to be the man, you got to beat the man. And right now, I'm the man.
Last one from me.
I don't even have a title. I'm the man.
So, Luke, I fully agree that he's the man, and I certainly don't want to turn this into negative after his performance. But I agree with the sentiments you sort of teased toward earlier. The only thing I don't like is being that willing to throw yourself into a backup opportunity so soon. It's not like this is an overly congested title picture. Nobody seems to ever get 9-fight win streaks before getting a title shot, although Fluffy's getting close himself at middleweight. It feels like, yeah, be there, show up, be prepared to get into the cage if the promotion lets you afterwards to do a face-off. But don't be that desperate where you're cutting weight and you're, kind of hoping on an injury. Why would you want to fight the biggest fight of your life on a short turnaround with no preparation like that?
Yeah, I mean, I get what here's what he might be thinking. He might be thinking, strike while the iron is hot. These guys, they believe in having their own visions, quite literally, like seeing their future play out, acting upon it, believing that like now is your time, keep the momentum rolling. And you can imagine why he would feel that way. He had a spectacular win, main event, We thought he might get the title shot after the Blachowicz fight, but it certainly was not a very convincing win. Dude, this was, I mean, yes, you can say in the end, and we need to talk about it here in a minute, that Reyes has, the chin is, it's just always going to be a liability at this point, right? I mean, there's just no way around that. But again, Ulberg did exactly what you would have expected from him, and then some. And so you can understand why he would feel that way. But to your point, BC, it almost feels a little bit desperate, where if he doesn't hold on to it, it's going to slip like sand between his fingers, you know? Like does he really believe that he's got it locked up? And it seems like he doesn't even believe that, not fully. And so he wants to just race across the ocean to, you know, kind of plant a flag. And I think that nervousness would not serve him well long term. Again, I think it's likely he gets the title shot, not ironclad, but likely. And whatever you think of his chances, it's certainly meritorious. And give yourself, especially against guys who I think are better than him, especially in Ankalaev's case, give yourself a chance to win this fight. And doing that by racing across the Pacific Ocean is probably not the best idea.
Yeah, I think a flight from Perth to anywhere will take off at least, 2 weeks at the end of your life. I mean, probably worse than a Cumberland Farms diet of hot dogs, although I've been there. Luke, when we spin it back to Reyes here, look, I wasn't disappointed. I ultimately felt Ulberg was going to get the job done, and we told you about the odds being plus 550 coming in on DraftKings that Ulberg would finish him. But I guess it was a little disappointing from the standpoint of expecting or hoping for a, extended competitive main event, to see how quickly Reyes ultimately succumbed and to see how clean those punches landed. Taking nothing away from Reyes, was this more about what Reyes, I'm sorry, take nothing away from Ulberg. Is there an argument to be made that this was a little bit more about Reyes not moving his head in that key moment? Or do you think the setup on those shots were just perfect timing, perfect moment there for Ulberg?
My hope in this fight, and you'll recall that I said it on Friday, which was I wanted Reyes to be mixing it up and that to have some kind of solution. You saw that long guard. We talked about it, right? That long guard that he uses. And I thought he would be better about implementing at least some kind of challenge to that, but there just wasn't one. I mean, here's my response to what the fight was, BC. Like, it was exactly what the odds makers thought it was going to be. You know what I mean? It fulfilled it from either end. On the one end, like that particular style matchup with the durability issues that Reyes has, and then to your point, the defensive issues. Like, even if you had a good chin, you're still going to get plastered by some of those punches that that Ulberg was throwing. Like, it was just a bad style matchup. And, again, wish casting for Reyes because you thought he had a sympathetic story, which is what I tried. Just not realistic. And the fight game, dude, this is why GSP and, Khabib had very carefully planned exits, because the fight game will begin to chew you to pieces if you let it. So,
yeah. Reyes would put a statement out on Instagram after the fight saying, "Congratulations to Carlos. Just wasn't my night. God is good always." Do you think Ulberg, look, this division is known for sluggers, for finishers at the elite level, Yuri, Jamal, Khalil. I mean, these guys all can deliver and get you out of there, and that's just a small handful of them. When you go up and down the rankings, you're going to add in Ozdemir, you're going to add in a lot more. Rakic. Do you think Ulberg is at the very least showing that combination of speed, power, and the setup, the elusiveness, he's becoming one of the more dangerous offensive fighters in this game, if not this division, other way around, this division, if not this game at the moment? Are you going to buy into that?
I think he's got a pretty fun counter-striking game. He can also go forward too, and which he did in this one. But the way in which he is able to elicit, in this particular case, Reyes, the pressure. Like, so he was the one pressuring Reyes, but then Reyes was a little bit far away and then wanted to close the final distance, and that's where he pieced him up. And he did it a couple times before the final sequence too. Like, he had his number. You know what I mean? In the end, Carlos Ulberg had his number. I don't know what else there is to say about it. But it's like, how does that match up with Ankalaev or Poatan? Could I imagine him catching Poatan? I could, but I think Ulberg, what you saw in that Blachowicz fight, can be naturally very defensive, and he wasn't in this one. But Poatan's a different challenge, and in Ankalaev's case, Ankalaev is just gonna be able to mix it up on him in ways that I think that's going to be. There are good reasons to believe that Ulberg might fall short against either, and in particular against Ankalaev, who is not as strong striker as Poatan in pure terms, obviously, but that ability to mix that up-down is going to be real difficult, I think, for him. He can be pressured back. BC, it's not like Ulberg's got like, terrible takedown defense and, he's getting rocked in every fight. He did get laid out, obviously, previously in the UFC, but in general, that's not necessarily what the tape shows. And again, under the right circumstances, a real fun long guard counter-striking game. That's a real fun thing. And as you can see, he'll beat some pretty decent guys with it. Is it good enough to beat Ankalaev and Poatan? I wouldn't bet that way.
Interesting. He's going to have to prove it a little bit more. To close on Reyes here at 35, this does feel like the end of his comeback chapter to the idea of being a true title contender in a division that is kind of wide open with a lot of parity. But would you take it even further? I mean, would you do the Joe Rogan Shaw bid here and essentially advise him that there's really nowhere else to go at this age but to walk away? Or is that too harsh, too soon? Brother, ew. You know what I mean?
Brother, no, it's not too soon. It's not too soon. It's not the end of his career in all likelihood. It's not the end of his career. And more importantly, I just think he's going to try and keep going. But, he's been flatlined KO how many times now? 4 times, right?
Yeah.
So, 4 times. So this one, the Yuri fight.
Ryan Spann, he got knocked out cold too.
He got knocked out cold in that one. And then I forget the other one. But, or maybe this is 3 times getting flatline KO'd. Whatever. It's plenty. To say nothing of what's happened in the gym.
We're forgetting about Blachowicz.
Blachowicz, that's the right one. Yep, thank you. I knew I was forgetting one. BC, we'll talk about this later with Wanderlei Silva, who is a whole nother level of this, to the point where you're like, we'll talk about that.
Yeah.
But this is, and I'm not saying we're close to that either, because that's like uniquely special. But what I am saying is, dude, if you've been flattened 3 times, to say nothing of the gym wars, to say nothing of, all the other things that go from complications from weight cutting or just a lifetime doing it, dude, you're talking about extraordinary damage to your brain. You have to protect it. Once or twice going out in a fight career is quite understandable. 3 or more, and now you got a problem. I do believe that's a bit of a dividing line for me.
I agree.
And I'm a little bit, if you're in his corner, I'll wrap it up here. If you're in his corner, you have to at least have a conversation about what the game plan is going forward, right? Like, what are we trying to accomplish and what kind of fights are we going to take? Because just what meandering through is probably going to end up having him back in a situation like this.
I fully agree. There's different kinds of stoppages. You know what I mean? There's stoppages when you've taken too much punishment, but you're still standing. There's stoppages when you're just covering up on the ground because you don't want to continue. And then there's the ones where you're somewhat routinely at the highest level when you do lose, knocked out cold. That's just what it is. And you can only take so many of those. So we'll see what happens there. But big moment for Ulberg. He stepped up and he looked even better than I thought he would. So it might be Black Jag's hour here. Let's keep the show rolling here. Now is a good time, by the way, to remember where tequila's story truly began. Hey, all the way back in 1795, Cuervo, right? Cuervo right here invented tequila. And since then, Cuervo has stayed true to its roots. Same family, same land, same passion. 230 years later, Cuervo is still there. And every pour and every margarita, in every celebration. So enjoy the tequila that started it all. Cuervo, the tequila that invented tequila. ProximoCuervo.com. Please drink responsibly. And you already know, but you may have forgotten, this Friday, right? This Friday, October 3rd, one day before UFC 320, your boys at MK will be back in the studio in Manhattan, Meadowlark Studios. LTBC and Jed Meshew II. Yeah, how about that? UFC 320 pregame preview. Let the what do we call that, Luke? What's that specific new brand we've been drinking lately? The Devil's
Reserve.
Yeah, let that. I mean, I'd even encourage you not to chase it this time.
I'd encourage you to lick my ass.
It's so, I mean, even Long Island Luke knows it's so smooth.
I didn't say it wasn't. I drink it. I like it, but I don't want to do shots. I like to sip.
Okay. Well, MK today, of course, brought to you by Cuervo. Now's a good time to enjoy the tequila that invented tequila. Check us out on Friday. It's Cuervo time. All right, topic number 2 coming right back at you. Perth gave us a few things to talk about up and down the card, despite the cancellations, no Tafa Bros, etc., etc. First and foremost, though, Luke Thomas, what the hell happened in that fight between Neil Magny and Jake Matthews? An absolute wild fight in which Magny respawned after seemingly tapping out. What, if anything, should have been done about the fact that it looked like Magny was submitted to close the first round, only to rally in the final round to get one of his own? Obviously, big up to the veteran. But this was a weird handling altogether of this fight.
Dude, I don't even understand what rule was obeyed. Right? Like, if my understanding of the rules, and I reviewed them over the weekend, and I don't know exactly which ones Australia is implementing. I want to be clear about that. They might have some and particularly that province, because that's how it's regulated in Australia. They might have a separate special set of bylaws that don't follow that. But once the referee waves it, you don't get to like, oh, actually it's the end of the round. No, dude. Like, you can wave it at the end of the round, like simultaneously, and the tie will not go to the runner. Like, you waved it. Now, if you wave it after the bell, it's a little bit different, and then the rules get a little bit janky. BC, straight up, what rule was he obeying that allowed him to do that? I don't even know what rule it is.
I'm still kind of confused at what even happened there. It was a big shit show to end it, but I thought for 100% that fight's over. Nocita loses his parlays, you know?
Yeah, no kidding. Now, let me say a couple things. Like, dude, you've sat, ringside or whatever for fights. Dude, I had an issue at the last XFC event where I thought a guy was out. I mean, I was certain he was out and that the referee missed it. And then sure enough, the guy loses it and he was totally fine. Like, I know that sometimes Joe Rogan gets a little bit of flack because he's always like, he's out, and then the person escapes. I will tell you, if you're watching it in person, that's a much harder thing to detect. I know the referee was kind of on top of him, but I'm just going to say, let he who's without sin cast the first stone on this one. I have fucked this one up royally before. However, it just goes back to a very basic point. Like, there's a set of protocol in place, and once a referee waves it, there's no going back. What I will say is, BC, is that whether or not that rule should be reviewed and to what extent instant replay could have extended the life of that fight or gone back and done something. I was talking about this with Long Island Luke. Normally, BC, I don't ever recommend fighters challenging, something. For example, they don't like a judge's decision in a fight, and it'll even be admittedly bad, and then they'll want to challenge it with a commission. This is a path to nowhere. Unless the call was, wrong from an arithmetic level, they're not going to review it, or you can prove like collusion among the judges, which naturally is going to require a very high evidentiary bar. They're not even going to just entertain what you have to say. But dude, they might on this one. Jake Matthews might have a call, especially since he ended up losing in the third, which, by the way, do you realize he's never had a 3-fight win streak? I'll double check that in a second.
Wow.
Consider how long he's been in the UFC. He's never had a 3-fight win streak. That's what I'm talking about when we talk about Carlos Ulberg a minute ago. These kinds of win streaks you're seeing are pretty rare.
Yeah, pretty rare indeed. He's had
Real
such
quick,
an interesting career. Go ahead, Long Island Luke.
Jake Matthews was on a 3-fight win streak coming into this fight.
Coming into this one. Excuse me, I apologize. How many does he have beyond that?
He had another one from 2019 to 2020.
Did I read the wrong effing record? Oh, no.
He's probably never had longer than a 3-fight.
Longer than a 3-fight. Yeah. Jesus, my Lord, have mercy. Okay.
Yeah, you sound like the referee out here. I mean, that guy waved the fight off. I don't care what anybody says. He waved the fight off.
In real time.
And then he acted like he didn't, right? I mean, and then the announcers were like, well, good thing this fight wasn't waved off. And I agree. It turned into this crazy back and forth fight, but it seemed a million times over obvious. I mean, look, Nocita, how much were you sweating during that sequence?
So literally, he called the fight off, and Brendan Fitzgerald on comms is like, the fight is off. Jake Matthews wins by submission. Then Neil Magny gets right up. His arm went limp. That's why the ref stepped in there. They play the replay probably 3 times on the broadcast. It's as clear as day. The ref says he's out, steps in, touches them both. A second goes by, 2 seconds go by, the horn goes off. So it's very clearly before the round ended. I don't know how they let it slide. I was saying to Luke pre-show, it just felt like the ref realized he fucked up. Neil wasn't actually out. So in the moment, he just decided, oh, we'll just pretend that was the end of the round and we'll keep it moving. But it's so messed up to everyone. Should have been a no contest, but did hit the over, so I'll take it. Yeah.
But here's the reality. Either way, the referee's fucking somebody. Because if you stop that fight, Magny's not out. That's a bad stoppage. If you keep it going in contravention to the rules, well, now you're fucking Jake Matthews. So, like, either way, a really bad call by that ref, even if they're hard to do, especially now with guys who have very, 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 very good submission resistance, submission defense. I admit it's a difficult task, but this is the highest level, and you got to get it right. And he didn't. That's just he
Yeah,
just
I mean,
didn't.
if that referee is an ex-Marine where there's no such thing, he's definitely effing somebody, and he's probably paying for it, Luke. Dearly.
I don't even know what that joke is. That was a winding joke to nothing.
Yeah, Osborne did. She knew exactly what that joke was, Luke. Okay,
those were active duty.
Yeah, that's true. There was no payment there. Just shame. All right. That's great right there. Let's hear from UFC's international head, Dave Shaw, who was forced to host the pre-fight press conference, host the post-fight. And here's his opinion on the weird non-stoppage.
Is the referee able to continue on the fight after waving it off like that?
Yeah, listen, the whole situation was strange. And I think there was confusion where we were sitting. There were a number of us just talking through the particulars. I think in the end, and I think everyone's going to have a different position, but the fact pattern as we saw it was, arm went seemed to go a little bit limp, right? Like, Magny's arm kind of came out and sort of flopped a little bit as if he was about to go out. My only assumption, and I don't want to speculate, my only assumption is that the ref assumed that he was going out and seemed to have stopped the fight. I think objectively, and to most people, maybe different people have different opinions here, but it seemed like he stopped the fight, and he stopped the fight, importantly, before the bell. Now, there didn't seem to be much time before the bell, and so that's where the confusion, started. Jake got off because of the bell. Very clearly, the ref thought that Neil was sort of coming to, or he was fine, and then allowed the fight to continue. So where do we go from here? I mean, Matthews his camp's able to lodge some sort of appeal, but this is all in the hands of the Western Australian Combat Commission, and so it's up to them to determine what the next step is. And honestly, I'm not really sure what the scope of the process would be and whether or not they would levy a no decision, but there seemed to be a mistake. Now, I should say that over our time in Western Australia, Anthony Grover and his team have done a tremendous job, and they've been very instrumental in the ongoing progress and regulation of combat sports in this state, and they've been a pleasure to work with. So the only comment I think we should make as the promoter, and by the way, promoter of both athletes, is this is in the hands of the commission to figure out what to do next.
Luke, whether or not you liked his answer, I'm starting to like David Shaw. He seems like a sensible person on that side, Seems
like a reasonable fellow, right? Yeah. I mean, like him, dislike him. Maybe he's right, maybe he's wrong, but it looked like he tried to think that one through and give an honest response by and large. And yeah, I agree.
All right. Tough break there for Jake Matthews, but he's ready to bang regardless. That's what he does. The old man Magny, though, got the win, and it's starting to really add up what Neil Magny has accomplished over the totality of his career. We can call him a compiler all we want, but he's still the guy you have to go through at welterweight to find out if you're legit. And how about this on the all-time wins list? Breaking free from the pack, which includes Andrei Arlovsky, Donald Cerrone, Max Holloway, and Dobronx Oliveira, to become second place all by himself for most wins in UFC history with 24, 3 away from the still active Jim Miller. And when you consider that Holloway and Oliveira, probably not close to done yet. I mean, closer, but not close. I'd have to believe that those standings will change. But Luke, what do we say here? Tip of the hat to Magny for not giving up. He's always in shape. He seems to always be evolving his game. We have seen his ceiling a bunch of times, but that was a pretty gnarly win regardless of that BS non-stoppage.
Dude, Magny is the ultimate test for, like, okay, are you going to be something or not? That's just where, I mean, that's not always what he's been, but that's certainly what he is now. And if you're not buttoned up in your game a little bit, there's a decent chance he might find it. He's, for the most part, given, he's got a lot of miles on him, but he's like, dude, when everyone talks about like, oh, so-and-so has veteran savvy and like what that means, it's, they kind of know what their game is. They kind of know what works, and they can't always make it work. But if, they know the little pockets in fights to hide and how to advance their attack, and, they just have a clear sense about how to make the circumstances work in their favor. He's the apotheosis of that. Also, BC, not for nothing, he's got some pretty good wins on his resume. I mean, you call him a compiler, and that's not unfair. But like, dude, he's got wins over Kelvin Gastelum. He's got wins, a stoppage win over Hector Lombard, a win over, and then some of these, are post-prime, but still, Johnny Hendricks. He's got a win over Carlos Condit, which is certainly post-prime. The Leech, Robbie Lawler, Jeff Neal, D-Rod. Dude, those are good names on his resume. He didn't beat like nothing but chumps on the prelims or something. He had a bite, of the main course here for a little bit and was able to take some home with him. Pretty impressive what he's been able to do. Dude, I'm telling you, these guys who have longevity, they're maybe not the best fighters you've ever seen, but they also understand something about the fight game that most other fighters cannot even imagine. And I really believe that's its own special kind of trait that we should value.
Magny kind of has old guy at the park vibes, who like sleeps in his car before the pickup game and then comes out and just like runs it wearing sweatpants with holes in it. He lives the life. So shout out to him.
Well, is this something that you literally did? And that's because that's an oddly specific thing to mention.
No, I just from a town where we had a fair amount of people who lived in their car. Look, you know what I mean? Sometimes it was either there or you run a room at the YMCA for $77.
You ever try and sleep in your car overnight?
I have done that. Yes.
Yeah. It's not comfortable.
No, it's one of the worst, especially when it's cold, whatever. Yeah. But really, that was our choice in our town: your car or the YMCA. If you got thrown out or your parents kicked you out or whatever. You know what I'm saying? It was interesting. Luke, good old what's his name there? Jake Matthews was the only Aussie to actually lose on this card. In fact, we had some breakthrough Aussie performances up and down. Talking just of the down unders, which Aussie was most impressive in your eyes on Saturday?
I would love to hear what Long Island Luke has to say on this, especially since he did so well on the betting. I'm going to say Jack Jenkins for me. You've kind of all... I don't know if he's going to be what we had maybe hoped that he would, but definitely he's technical. Definitely he's got a fun, well put together striking game. I love his shot selection. I love his accuracy. He performed really well. Navajo Sterling is supposed to be a big light heavyweight prospect, and his fight with Rodolfo Belloto, I'm not going to say it was disappointing in the sense that it was a bad fight or it wasn't fun, BC. It was, but I don't know if I see breakthrough prospect there in Sterling. It's still early. I'm not declaring it off, but it's a little slow getting out of the gate for me. What about you, Long Island Luke? And by the way, the only other ranked fighter on this card who was opening the main card lost, Loma Luke Boonmi. What do you think?
Cam Rouston knocking out Andre Petrosky.
That's the guy for me, dude.
Yeah, that was a great performance by him.
Yeah.
Also,
it was weird though. The shot barely landed.
I know. Well, Petrosky, I don't know what happened to him, but I was saying going into this fight that like Cam Rouston, I was impressed by him on Contender Series, but he had lost to Terez Finney. He had lost to someone else who was a good wrestler, and Petrosky's obviously a good wrestler. So I was like worried about this matchup, but he looked damn good in there. You're not wrong about Navajo Sterling kind of looking flat.
Yep.
Jamie Malarkey, I haven't been
whatever. He's a good fighter, but whatever.
Dude, is Tom Nolan Australian? Because that guy had a fantastic comeback in that.
Yeah, he had a fantastic comeback, but I would never say he looked great because he got dropped in the first minute of that.
And then he told everybody to suck his pelotos if they don't like his submission game.
That was the Aussie versus the Long Islander. So I was torn on that fight. But Colby Thickness looked damn good in round one, then kind of gassed out a little as that fight went on. But
also against very questionable opposition.
True.
Sounds like a stripper's name, right?
Yeah, a little bit. And
like
then Michelle
Cannons or something,
Michelle Montague, she's a Kiwi. She's all of her wins had come by submission coming into this, so we knew she was going to grapple. She took Carolina down. It was not a great fight. There was point deductions, all this stuff. But Cam Rouston's the answer, BC.
BC, I once had a stripper at the Spearmint Rhino tell me her name was Aeon. And I was like, how do you spell that? She goes, Aeon. And I'm like, we don't have to pretend. Like, we don't have to do this. You can have a normal name, It doesn't have to be yours, but you don't have to like invent things or like borrow from cartoons.
Interesting right there. Anybody else turn your head, Luke? I mean, I was looking at Loma Luke Boonmi's 4-fight win streak there at women's strawweight.
Oh, yes.
What is it? Alexia Tainara. She came in and turned that around 30-27 on all three scorecards.
Definitely. And that, again, against the only other ranked opponent or ranked fighter, I should say, on this card. So that's definitely worthwhile. But in general, dude, this was overflow. This was overflow. Let's just call. I mean, we don't have to say it's every part of the product because it's not. but this was overflow. By the way, something to keep in mind, I know the like MMA on Point has been like doing these graphics where they're like, how many ranked fighters are busy, and it's like 37% are booked. So like, a huge amount, the majority are not. People have said, BC, that the UFC must be hoarding some of their talent to go like hard out of the gate in January, which to me sounds like a very reasonable theory. Would you not agree that there's clearly some reservation of resources, right?
Yeah, and I think they should, and I think they will. His history has shown that they do that ahead of a first TV deal, and I feel like when you're dropping pay-per-view, you already paid for the class action suit, new era. Let's go for it. Let's load these up. All right.
Oh, and the suits aren't done though; they keep going. There's other ones still on the docket. Also, God, what was I gonna say? God damn it, I forgot what I was gonna say. It doesn't matter. Fuck it.
I'll sit here until you remember it, Luke. It'll be great.
Now I'm on the clock and I can't remember what the hell I was gonna say. All right, whatever.
All right. Hey, why don't we transition into topic number 3? You already know that Friday we'll be previewing all things UFC 320 in our pregame preview that will take up the entirety of Friday's show. But there's 2 other events going on here. The big one, though, for the PFL, a very big one that's going down in the UAE on Friday night, a rematch of arguably the best fight in the promotion's history. One of the best fights in MMA this calendar year, when Usman Nurmagomedov, to kick off the year, won a competitive decision over Paul Hughes over 5 rounds for the PFL lightweight title. That's the belt now that is at stake. No more Bellator. This is the official PFL lightweight title. It's a rematch that tops a card featuring 2 title fights, including Corey Anderson, friend of the show, fighting for the inaugural PFL light heavyweight crown, and a rematch with Davlet Yagshimuradov. But this is the big matchup. These are arguably, two of the 3 biggest resources PFL has here in Nurmagomedov and Paul Hughes. As we look at the odds at the moment, Usman Nurmagomedov minus 166, the betting favorite, plus 130 for Paul Hughes. Luke, let's start here. When you look back at their first matchup, which I've watched a few times now, what is your biggest takeaways? Because if you recall, Usman spent the entire build to that fight saying Hughes wasn't on his level until he found out he was.
My takeaway is that Hughes, it reminds me of that scene in The Matrix where they put Neo in the training program and he spars with Morpheus, but then they make him do the jump. Remember that? And everyone's like, oh, everyone falls the first time, but eventually there comes a moment later in the movie where he begins to believe that he can do things and he can dodge bullets, and he almost has to slowly convince himself that it's real. But once he sees it, he can't unsee it. For Paul Hughes, how do you unsee the real effort that you put in against a very, very, very credible opponent? I don't think that the person who wins this, BC, because it's actually worth saying, is the best lightweight in the world. Maybe they'll end up being. It's a little hard to make that argument over someone like Ilya, but certainly a very good fighter is what you're getting out of this, and the elite one is what I would say. And Paul Hughes got to watch himself, yes, come up short, but not in a way where he came up short because, well, you've got a ton of work to do. I mean, of course, there's a lot of work that has to be done in the camp, but I don't mean like DDP versus Hamzat, where it's like, I don't even know if you can make up that gap. This was tantalizingly close. Now, I know on some of the judges' scorecards that, it wasn't enough to claim 3 solid rounds of performance, but it was enough to be like, I can match up with this guy and neutralize his strengths while pressing mine in a way where if I got another crack at it, you have to believe that he's got a better shot this time, even if also Nurmagomedov can have a better, or at least in theory, could have a better performance too. The point I'm trying to make is it was an awakening. It was this moment where he is like, okay, this actually is very doable. I can actually make this happen. Now, whether or not he prepared correctly and whether or not, this is going to be that moment to get it done, we shall see. But the big takeaway from that one is Paul Hughes was not the better guy overall on that night, probably not, but had a moment of recognition about what he can be, and it started with that disappointing loss.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Now, Usman is 27 years old, one of the best lightweights on the planet, and he did improve to 19-0 with one no contest in that majority decision win in January. One judge scoring it even, the other two judges scoring it 48-46 for Nurmagomedov. I believe that Nurmagomedov really brought it down the stretch in round 5 to take that round clearly, and that was the difference on my scorecard, 3 rounds to 2. But in so many ways, you can argue that Paul Hughes won that night because of the ascension of how he was getting better with each fight. He defeated AJ McKee, and then he went in there against probably the best fighter pound for pound that PFL has and rallied back in those middle rounds. The body shots were a big part of it. I interviewed both fighters when this fight was announced, and they are still very contentious when talking about each other. Here's Usman Nurmagomedov looking back on their fight in January and realizing the mistakes that he made that he feels led to this being a close fight.
Well, I'm not surprised about this fight game. Like I know what I did, which mistakes I did. I was watching this fight and I see a lot of my mistakes, and it was not my best shape too. And this time I was in mountain. I did very good camp. Now I'm in Dagestan. This week and next week I'm here, and after that I'm gonna move to Dubai for last my 3-4 week. And this time it's gonna be different. I'm training so hard, and I'm here in of course I'm with my family here, and I see how they worry about me, and I don't wanna make them so nervous this time. And we'll see. Around me have very good guys, good teachers, and all my team. And this time it's gonna be different.
Can you share what those mistakes were the first time that you just mentioned?
Well, you remember in second round, like I beat him first round, like clean, just kick, moving, okay, but not second round. I didn't mistake. I tried to hold his neck, but I'm not throwing knee. And he's landed couple punches on my body, and after that, it wasn't my plan for this fight. I did something wrong, and with takedowns, I spent a lot of energy. But this time we change it everything. We changed everything. Like we changed striking, we changed clinch. We're gonna be like very, very good shape this time.
Luke, I think he's trying to say, because if you recall, he seemed to dominate Hughes in the striking in the first round of their first meeting. Then you saw slowly Hughes work his way back in. I mentioned those body shots. It looked like Usman was gassed in the middle of this fight.
Mm-hmm.
It felt like he wanted to say it without really fully saying it, that he had an awful training camp the first time around. I'm not sure if there were injuries that led up to that, but it's almost the same dilemma we're in when looking at the second Ankalaev-Poatan fight in regards to what Poatan's now saying about how he was compromised. Do you agree with Usman here that he realizes maybe he took Hughes for granted, maybe he undertrained, maybe he was hurt, whatever, but that he's not going to make the mistake the second time around? Or are you sensing a bit of delusion in him?
No, I think he took him lightly. Not like so lightly that he didn't train enough. I mean, he trained enough to win, right? He did enough of the job to get his hand raised, but it wasn't enough to close the book, which is why we're right back here. Again, that's also partly due to the brilliance that night of Paul Hughes, even in a losing effort. But dude, he took him lightly, and you could tell after the fight. I'll never forget. There was one time where Phil Baroni, who's I think in Mexican jail for allegedly killing his girlfriend, but he famously beat the hell out of Evan Tanner, but then gassed. And then the first thing that Evan Tanner said when they interviewed him was like, "Holy God, that guy hits hard." And you can listen to some of the stuff that Usman said afterwards, and Khabib as well, that one was uncomfortably close for them. And you could tell it was uncomfortably close because, his ability to hit what they thought was his next gear was not there. And whether that was injury, BC, whether it was not enough road work, whether it was whatever. And also before this fight, they were like, why is he a big deal? Then afterwards, remember, it's like, well, I don't really have to do anything for this guy, which is common for champion talk. But there's just been this tenor of distance and to a degree dismissiveness, except for right away post-fight when the tenor then all of a sudden shifted. That tells you the ball game. That gives it away.
Yeah, this rematch is in Dubai, where it was the first time. This will air Friday during actually our pregame preview of Morning Kombat, as the main card begins at 11:30 a.m. Eastern.
The main card starts at 11:30.
That's what I'm finding on the internet. Yes, live from Dubai there on Friday. We also have Usman getting back to his sassy trash talk ways in saying how this fight will end for Hughes.
I think you remember this. Paul Hughes, yes, this is fight. Of course, he punched me. Of course, I will feel this. Of course, he gonna hurt me. But what's the reason? He'll lose this fight. He was crying. Well, I'm gonna make him crying again.
Well, there you go. He's going to make him cry again. Well, I was able to relay that information to Paul Hughes, who, of course, has a different feeling where he feels that Usman is breakable. He felt he came close the first fight. Here's Paul Hughes saying about what he's going to do on Friday. How will this fight ultimately be different? I mean, he's not going to take you lightly, but considering it was such a stalemate over 5 rounds the first time, with the judges being, ultimately split, considering it was a majority decision, how will this rematch be different in your eyes?
How this rematch will be different is ultimately I will break him at some point in this fight. No question. Whether that is round 3 or whether that is round 5. I truly, truly believe that I'm going to put the pressure on that man early. I'm going to make him fight once again. I'm going to make him scramble for his life for every single position, and I am not going to get off him until I have him broken.
Damn. Okay. All right. I mean, let's go right there, right?
Yeah,
wow. Paul would continue to close here talking about what he felt when he was hurting Nurmagomedov to the body the first time around.
Yeah, I think that I almost had him broken. And I think that, you watch that fight back, you look at rounds 4 and 5, to just before that head clash happened at the very end of round 4, where he had a 3-minute recovery. You've seen the momentum change. You've seen that I had started to get my groove, that I was just simply walking him down. He did not have the energy to take me down or to grapple with me anymore, and I was in my groove and I was landing the devastating shots. The head clash happened. He got a little bit of energy conserved back up again. The 5th round was close. Some judges gave it to me, some judges gave it to him. I think that I almost had him broken last time, but this time the odds may go in my favor with something like that. These things happen, and this is why we love fighting, because these things just fucking happen. And ultimately, whether odds go in my favor or not next time, I know that over 5 rounds I can't get him out of there.
So, Luke, speaking to him saying these things just fucking happen, I did go back and rewatch the fight immediately after interviewing him, and he's right. The momentum was firmly in his favor when that errant headbutt paused the action for 3 minutes. In hindsight, do you believe that's what gave Usman the gas back to hold him off in round 5, with 2 judges scoring it for Usman, 1 for Hughes?
It's a good question. I'm not sure. I'm not sure. This is a problem. Like, I would love to hear what the judges thought were the meaningful differences between them in order to give you a better sense of that. I don't know. The question you have to ask yourself is this: is this going to look like the first fight? I don't mean, you might pick Usman, you might not, but like, is it going to have the similar kind of complexion of the first fight, or this is one going to be like real different? For example, of course, it's a very different example, but the first fight between Islam and Volk did not look like the second fight between them, right? They were very different. Whereas you can think of certain rematches where the first one kind of closely followed the second one. If the second one closely follows the first one, I would favor Usman to win this one. I really think that and it's kind of like a circular way of getting to the answer, BC, but the point I'm just trying to make is, in order to get to a meaningfully different place with the judges, this has to look like a meaningfully different fight overall. To start in the middle, and if it goes long, at the end. It has to be under much better terms for Paul Hughes, which means much more pressure and, frankly, much more forcing of boxing range through pressure. And then, of course, means resisting takedowns and everything else. Like, that's what has to happen here. And I don't really know if it will, but I can't wait until see on Friday to find out.
Yeah, Long Island Luke, I'm sure you definitely saw that first fight. It was a classic. We talked about the odds with Usman being a minus 166 favorite to the plus 130 Hughes. I can be talked into the idea that that wasn't the best of Usman, and now he'll have no excuse but to bring that. Does that sway you betting-wise into sticking with the Dagestans here?
Yeah, I kind of feel like, if you guys remember, they were doing that stare down for the first fight, and Usman said some shit to him, like, I can't even remember what he said. Like, and Paul Hughes then looks at the camera. He's like, he's overlooking me. He's overlooking me. Like, he clearly went into that first fight overlooking him. I think he's going to have a way better game plan this time. Usman by decision. It's probably plus money. I don't think it's dropped yet, but that's going to be my bet.
LT, we could argue, of course, that, Dakota Ditcheva, arguably the most important fighter to build on for PFL moving forward. PFL's John Martin told me, we played the clip there and talked about it, that he doesn't know if Francis wants to fight MMA anymore. What do you think is a better result here for the PFL? Usman and Nurmagomedov staying unbeaten, and you've got a strong member of that extended Abdulmanap tree that includes Islam Makhachev and the other Nurmagomedovs, or Paul Hughes getting the win, considering the draw he is in Ireland, and considering that you're probably going to get a trilogy pretty soon after if he does?
Man, that's a great question. I mean, I think the probably default answer would be, because of the Nurmagomedov name, you're likelier to want to go in that direction. That's interesting. On the other hand, I do think that there might be some North American fatigue with how much, not with Usman per se, but with just how much the American fight game has declined. And, actually, what am I saying? Paul Hughes is Irish, so that's, he's a native English speaker, so kind of the point I'm trying to make versus not. So there's less cultural distance. But I honestly, probably the Nurmagomedov thing, right? I mean, dude, what's going to keep Khabib coming back to PFL shows? Paul Hughes? You know what I mean? Like, no. In terms of building a fan base, there probably is some real value to milk out of having a member of the first family of MMA on your roster. That being said, BC, to your point, Paul Hughes already pretty damn popular in Ireland. You could really blow that out, and I think you could build on that in some other markets as well. I think Paul Hughes could kind of carry over. So I think, listen, this is not like boxing where it's Bob Arum's fighter versus Don King's fighter. They both compete for the same person.
Sure.
So in the end, they can milk it either way. Probably the answer is Usman because of the last name.
Little known fact that Paul Hughes was born to two Irish people in Australia. Nosita, does that bring your father or his libido into this conversation?
No, but I did forget that. That's a good call. Maybe I'll dabble a little bit on Paul Hughes at plus money.
There you go. There it is right there.
How much? What is he again? How much plus is he?
He's only a plus 130, Paul Hughes.
Wow.
I kind of feel like it's going to be another close competitive fight, but Usman is slightly the better fighter here.
Yeah, that's interesting. Oh, I can't wait. Fun.
Tank is refilled and he can wrestle more. That could also be a difference maker here.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. As we continue on this card, Luke, there's a couple other fights worth mentioning. Are you going to be moved at all about the Beast in what is it again, Luke? What is the old
Beast in 20? Not Beast, dude. He's not Beast in 24/7. That's Beast in 24/7 is for lazy people.
Yes.
He's Beast in 25/8.
And he'll go overtime if you need it. It's Corey Anderson.
We love Corey, but that's a funny nickname. Sorry.
It's the best. You remember, of course, he fought for the Bellator light heavyweight title and came up empty there in that 2-fight series with Nemkov. He wants the trilogy. He's willing to do it at light heavyweight. I did talk to him on my channel. You can check that chat out. But Luke, he's had a decorated career, exited the UFC after a long win streak turned into a knockout, and then he had that accident where he fell, found the financial freedom he was looking for. This would be a feather in his cap if he can go out there, beat Yagshimuradov a second time, and be the official PFL light heavyweight champion. This is a good opportunity for him.
This is a great opportunity for him. I think being with the PFL, hasn't necessarily blown up his profile, but I think it's been good for his pocketbook. He is absolutely one of the best light heavyweights in the world, BC. That's not hyperbole. He absolutely is one of the best light heavyweights in the world. And I don't know if Dovlets Dan Yagshimuradov, I don't know if he's exactly the guy to take that from him. They already fought in Bellator. Corey kind of tooled him a little bit. So I think this is a great opportunity for him. But dude, he's a fighter of this caliber who's this hungry, deserves to be decorated. He's got a great shot at it on Friday.
Well, that loss, their first meeting back in 2021, that was Yagshimuradov's Bellator debut. It was in the quarterfinal of that Grand Prix. He got stopped in the third round. He would then lose his next fight to Carl Albrechtsen and then rip off a 7-fight win streak across Bellator and PFL that takes him to where he is right now. He's coming off a first-round knockout of Impa Kasangane last year that won him the PFL light heavyweight tournament. He beat Rob Wilkinson, beat Rafael Carvalho, Julius Anglickas. So he's beaten some names that we know. This should be an interesting test right here for both of them. And then how about this bantamweight tilt? Magomedov against Sergio Pettis. I don't hate that at all.
No, I don't hate that one, although that is one that I think one of the matchups we didn't get, but in theory, could get with a bantamweight tourney. And of course, there was a bantamweight tourney through Bellator. So this is something of an interesting pairing that you could have got there. But the one I'm actually more interested in, BC, is not that one. It's actually Archie Colgan taking on JJ Wilson, the one right above that. Dude, Archie Colgan, Division I wrestler. There's not many of those guys. Or actually, I'm not sure if University of Wyoming is Division I or Division II. I think it's Division I. I have to double check. But in any case, undefeated, looks the part, phenomenal record, taking on JJ Wilson, who is probably the best Kiwi fighting outside of the UFC. I don't know if that's fair or not. Maybe Long Island Luke disagrees. But JJ Wilson is a very good fighter. Different style. So he's more like, boxer, jiu-jitsu, kickboxer, jiu-jitsu type, whereas Colgan, a little more boxer wrestler. But this one has fun written all over it. As I mentioned, Colgan 12-0, JJ Wilson just 11-1. So I love that fight. That's one of the better fights they can make. Dude, the matchmakers did a good job with this one, for sure.
Yeah, that is Mike Colgan, right? The matchmaker?
Yeah. I'm not sure if he's got a team now, but I do believe it's headed by Colgan, yes.
Well, they also have this preliminary fight that some people are getting into as the GOAT Artem Lobov returns for a 165-pound catchweight bout against Zubaira Tukagov, Luke. That's like a rematch of Conor Habib, is it not?
Yeah, a little bit. Zubaira, I think, was with that team for a while. That's not false. That's a real
pretty
thing.
sure Zubaira was the one who started that whole thing where they all surrounded Artem, leading to Conor then coming with the dolly the next day.
They're milking the controversy. They're milking the controversy. However, Artem Lobov, God bless him, 14-15-1. Not the best record I've ever seen. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I'm with you on that. He did beat Pauli in bare knuckle, although that was disputed, highly disputed. Also this weekend, speaking of bare knuckle, I got to be honest, LT, I didn't know this was happening until Nocita reminded me, and I like what BKFC does. This is a big one for them. BKFC 82 is Saturday, going head-to-head with UFC 320. It takes place in Newark. They might as well put it in Newark Penn, if you know what I mean. And it's Mike Perry versus Jeremy Stevens in the main event. Frankie Edgar comes out of retirement to bare knuckle Jimmy Rivera in the co-main. Of course, there's that wild female fight that we played a lot of. Have you seen the shit sounds of Christine Ferreira defending her women's bantamweight title against Jessica Borga? That's it for the most part for names on this card. Luke, will you care in any form on Saturday?
No, I will not care. I mean, I'll care in the sense that I hope Frankie doesn't get laid out. I'll say that. Okay. Other than that, well, I'm lying. I mean, I'm fucking lying, right? I mean,
I'm going to catch a stream at some point, right? Yeah, I won't cross the stream.
I'll at least catch the highlights. At a bare minimum, I'll catch the highlights. I'll say that. But I won't. All right. I'm not going to spend time away from my family to watch it. I mean, I'll tell you that,
Yeah, you're like, I'm going to spend time away from my family to watch UFC 320 at the same time.
Let me say this. I looked this up, and I want to it's got nothing to do with this particular fight, but you mentioned there's BKFC. Tomorrow is Contender Series. It's episode week 8. And in the middle of the card is Eliezer Kubanza taking on this dude I've been talking about, Christopher Alvidrez. Chris Alvidrez. Now, Chris Alvidrez is raw. I don't know. I don't know much about his opponent, and I don't even know if he's favored to win this Long Island Luke. But I called his last fight at XFC. That dude is good. That dude is good, explosive, hungry, and really, really unorthodox game. He fought a UFC veteran in his last fight with us at XFC with them. It's not my promotion, but with them, and smoked the guy.
He's a fat dog right now. Plus 220.
Yeah.
Alvidrez.
He's a plus 220?
Yes, sir.
Wow. I got to learn more about his opponent because that's surprising to hear. He's fucking good.
There you go. Long Island Luke letting us know that Wyoming is D1, Luke. Okay.
Yeah, it was. I thought so. I couldn't remember, but I thought so.
All right. Well, that is what's going on Friday and Saturday, of course, competing with good old UFC 320. And speaking of UFC 320 heading to Vegas, here is your shot to cash in big with DraftKings Pick 6, the official daily fantasy sports partner of UFC. Just pick more or less on 2 or more stats and unlock the upside that every fight brings. The better your calls, the bigger your payout. Do you think Magomed Ankalaev will get more or less takedowns than what the DraftKings Pick 6 app is setting up? That's your opportunity to get in if you feel like you know, because new DraftKings customers get $50 in bonus picks with just a $5 entry on your first pick set. So download that DraftKings Pick 6 app right now. Use our code COMBAT with a K and play just $5. Get $50 in Pick 6 bonus picks. Make the call. Ride the upside. In partnership with DraftKings Pick 6, the crown is yours. You got a gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org in Connecticut. Must be 18 plus. Age and eligibility restrictions vary by jurisdiction. Pick 6 not available everywhere, including New York and Ontario. Void where prohibited. 1 per new customer. Bonus awarded as non-withdrawable Pick 6 bonus picks that expire in 14 days. Limited time offer. See terms at pick6.draftkings.com/promos. All righty, then let's go to topic number 4. This ain't a good topic to talk about, but it did happen, and it is getting a lot of attention. UFC and Pride legend Wanderlei Silva took part in an exhibition boxing match in Brazil on Saturday against former boxing world champion Acelino Popo Freitas. And Wanderlei got viciously knocked out in a post-fight brawl that took place because Wanderlei was disqualified for multiple headbutts during the bout. Fabricio Verdum took part in it. The elements to the story, as they got spread around social media with the highlights, they were disgusting. And it was actually Freitas' son that ended up knocking out Wanderlei Silva clean during the melee. He would go on to post pictures with a broken eye socket and a bunch of other issues. And don't forget, this was the same fighter who wrote publicly in the class action lawsuit about the CTE that is compromising his lifestyle right now. So Silva's opponent was outweighed by roughly 40 pounds. This was originally supposed to be Silva against Vitor Belfort. And Luke, I mean, what do we even say? It's an old guy exhibition. We see a lot of this. Julio Cesar Chavez Sr., Eric Morales. I mean, a lot of these guys are doing these. Roy Jones and Mike Tyson as well. Should athletic commissions at home and abroad consider the legislation that would more closely regulate these, or maybe even outright ban them? Because the footage we have to show here is just gnarly and ridiculous. Let's check out first the weigh-in photo before Luke weighs in. You see Wanderlei at 206. Freitas, a former 130-pound and featherweight fighter, came in at 162.
Can I jump in real quick? Vitor
Please.
Belfort was supposed to be the opponent and fell out.
Yeah,
so
just said that.
Freitas filled in. Now, you would imagine that Vitor, I just real quickly, would have been closer in weight, but they just had to scramble, and this is what they got.
And here's the aftermath, of course. Wanderlei posting just some awful pictures. Luke, this is what you get when you do shit like this that shouldn't happen. There was no headgear here. This was just straight up old guys getting after it. I know it happened in a melee, not the fight, but Wanderlei's no victim ultimately here. He headbutted enough to get disqualified. I don't even know why Fabricio Verdum was involved, but he was throwing haymakers too. How do you even react to this?
This should be illegal. This should be illegal. The state in Brazil as well regulates combat sports. folks often ask, why is combat sports regulated by the government, or why should it be regulated? I mean, this is an example of the state failing, but this also gives you an example of why it's important that there should be, at least in theory, a regulatory power over this activity, because these people cannot be trusted on their own to do this the right way. Guys, what the fuck is, I mean, this is why, honestly, BC, like, I know that the rule is that they're going to do it around as an exhibition, and they're both relatively young. But like, if you've got guys over the age of 40 and there's a 40-pound weight difference, that's like, and the guy who's in the main event has said in court documents that he suffers from CTE, has already had it. And we know flatlined by Crow Cop, flatlined by a Rampage, and then TKO'd by Rampage at a later time, was badly rocked by Stan, was obviously, finished off by Vitor, was flatlined by Hendo, was flatlined. I mean, I think he's been flatlined 4 different times. Oh, by the way, basically flatlined by Crazy Horse, to say nothing of all the shoot-to-box gym wars. That fight should have been fucking illegal. It should have been illegal. It should have been against the law to allow something like that to happen. Because then, as you point out, BC, Wanderlei, a sympathetic character in the sense that he's suffering from all this stuff, and then gets viciously laid out yet again, right? And has this terrible thing happen to him. But at the same point, dude, those headbutts were not ambiguous. Sometimes headbutts in boxing, it's a little hard to tell. Sometimes in slow motion. This guy's career started in headbutting with Vale Tudo. And he's now here after all of this brain trauma, and he's headbutting people. He should be banned from combat. He should not be allowed to fight again. And honestly, BC, not just for misconduct, really, that's not even the most important part. For his own health. For his own health. The Brazilian government, to the extent that they have regulatory athletic power to regulate this kind of thing, they should prohibit him from ever competing again. A weight discrepancy like this with someone who has put in public record that they're suffering from this, who's been laid out that many times, how the fuck is that legal? Why should that be legal? It's deeply obvious in person. Not just a disaster because a brawl happened or because there was a disqualification, but that the risk you ran with putting a guy like that in there just leads to unhealthy outcomes, BC, one way or the other.
I mean, look, people forget that, like, this crossover bubble that Jake Paul's still the face of, like, it really started in terms of major prominence with Roy Jones and Mike Tyson in 2020. And we were even rightfully so a little nervous about that fight. It turned out to kind of be a win for Tyson, and they both looked decent, and it was whatever. But you knew that bubble was going to burst eventually, because not only are those largely shit fights, but somebody could really get hurt. I mean, I guess in hindsight, for all the shit we rightfully threw at Mike Tyson versus Jake Paul, which, let me again remind people, was an official fight, not an exhibition. And for as much shit as we gave Jake for carrying Mike to the finish line, what did I want in return? Mike to be knocked out cold? No. I mean, what are we talking about with Wanderlei? We're talking about a guy who had a 22-year MMA career, fought 51 times, lost 14 of them, was knocked out in 7 of them, was known for being an all-or-nothing brawler for a lot of his career, went through a gauntlet in his prime with Pride before going to the UFC and just being matched up. Even in his later years with Bellator and the tail end of the UFC, was just getting thrown in there against ferocious brawlers because that's what he did. If anybody should not have been sanctioned, and then not even to mention the comments that he gave on the record about the class action lawsuit. It's criminal. I mean, there's one thing to do the Chael and Anderson Silva when they recently did that charity boxing match, whatever it was, exhibition, that was pro wrestling. That was 100% pro wrestling. If this turned out to be that, whatever. But enough of this shit. I mean, I love melees. I love ridiculousness in sports. But Wanderlei got clocked a couple times before he got laid out. And now he's dealing with numerous more issues that, oh, by the way, were brought on completely by himself for how he acted during that fight. So,
let's have an uncomfortable conversation. How does this end for Wanderlei Silva?
That's probably as worse as possible, because
like,
it feels
everyone out there should expect a worst case scenario, and if it's not, we're lucky. Seriously,
because they're taking these fights in a lot of instances because they need the money. There's no pensions in this game. There's no, we already know all that, but there's also this addiction to get back in there and do the only thing they know how to do. And if no one's going to step in there and stop them, what are we doing here?
No, but I don't even mean that. I mean like in terms of his brain health. Like look at what's happening with BJ Penn. You know?
Well, I think it all ties in, Luke. I think it ties into that. What I'm saying,
do you mean?
like, you keep letting people do this, they keep adding more trauma to their brain. You're gonna have Junior Seau moments. You know what I mean? You're gonna have BJ Penn moments. You know,
we should say that out loud. Like, again, I'm obviously in BC as well. We're not wishing for this. We dread it with every fiber of our being. We hope that it never ever even gets close. But just even if this had not happened, BC, just think realistically. After all that trauma he took, just in his professional MMA career, and again, Shoot to Box was known for having legendary gym wars. They were the gym war crew before, you know, more civilized, relatively speaking, forms of training began to emerge inside of top MMA gyms. They were known for hammering each other. And then on top of that, you have that long storied career. And now this kind of stuff is happening. How do folks think this is going to end? How do you think his life is going to look like at its last chapter? There is no way it's not some form of a disaster. And that could be a disaster, not just for him, but the folks around him, and God only knows who else. Like, this is so fucking bad for him. This is so bad, frankly, for a society to allow these kinds of things to just have gone on as long as they have. And now even here, Wanderlei Silva's life is headed towards a direction that is darker than any of us have the ability to even grasp at this point. And I am frankly terrified of watching that unfold, BC.
Yeah, and I'm glad you didn't grab the video in hindsight for this, because it was disturbing to watch. You had that like, oh shit moment at first, and then you take the totality of it, and you're just like, this is gross. I mean, look, he was flatlined by that punch by Freitas' kid. I mean, like, flatline, dude.
People don't realize this. Wanderlei never had great defense, but up until he really got his chin cracked, he had like a very resilient chin. Sure. He was known for being able to just eat punishment and keep going. And then once that finished off, his career was up and down at that point. But you know, he got, I think it was back to back, if I'm not mistaken, he got head kick KO'd by Crow Cop and then got laid the fuck out when in the next fight, when Dan Henderson was able to get 2 titles at the same time. He was actually the first champ, simultaneous champ. It's when he laid out Wanderlei in another, just, you know, again, it wasn't just BC. He didn't walk across the ring and punch him. They had a war before that. You know what I mean? Like, it's all this fucking damage. And then this guy is being allowed to compete. It is so fucking unethical that this was allowed to happen.
Thank you very much for saying that. I mean, he may be 49, which is old as shit for the fight game anyway, but I scared to find out what his brain age is. You know what I mean? His brain health moment. Like, I mean, it's just, that's it for topic number 4. Let's go to topic number 5. Big time breaking news this morning, of course. UFC CEO Dana White announcing that Zuffa Boxing is coming and starting in January. Of course, the partnership with Saudi Arabia, Turki Al-Sheikh and Sella was announced in March, but now they have an inaugural broadcast home, and that is on Paramount Plus, with the idea of some cards potentially being simulcasted on CBS, very similar to the UFC deal recently signed there. The terms of the arrangement are not fully known. What some have reported is it's a 5-year deal. What we do know is year 1 will have 12 cards in a monthly series that'll air on Paramount Plus, with the idea of adding more cards in the future as they go on. I had a lengthy interview with Dana White. We're going to play some audio from that you can check out on YouTube on the CBS Sports HQ channel, where I tried my best to get a lot of information out of him. But to be fair, they're still figuring out a lot of this on the fly. Him and Nick Khan, with Turki Al-Sheikh's backing, are the brains behind this. So first and foremost here, Luke, what do you believe this means for boxing? We've heard Dana's coming a mile away for years. Now we're pairing him together with Turki Al-Sheikh, with TKO's muscle, with Nick Khan's business intellect. What are we expecting to kick off next year for the world of boxing?
I mean, that's an interesting one, right? So, like, it seems like, Dana has laid this out, as you articulated. The idea is you have they're comparing it to Contender Series. I guess it's something akin to that. And then once you graduate, you go into the pipeline to fight for Turki Al-Sheikh, right? So that's the planned path. I mean, I have a lot of questions about this. Like, to what extent, like, what are the contracts going to look like? What is pay going to look like? What does a contract with Zuffa Boxing do in terms of locking you into a contract with Turkey? So, like, there's like, what's that continuity, right? Because could you fight twice for Zuffa Boxing and win both times, and then they offer you a fight with Turkey? And I'm just imagining something. You could decline it to go to Top Rank. Like, how does that even work? You know, but because it's a UBO, I'm going to guess they're going to create a UBO if the legislation passes. It remains to be seen. So I don't really know what that looks like. Also, a bigger question for me is a couple things. One, what does this do to Dana's bandwidth in MMA, which has already been stretched noticeably thin? Now, of course, BC, you know as well as I do, the kickoff in January, and for the early part of that deal, he's going to be there. Obviously, UFC White House, he'll be front and center, all that stuff, right? But you know, he's one man. There's 24 hours in a day. How is he going to split that?
I mean, I did ask him that, Luke. We don't have the video to play it, but he did say ultimately that he's 56. His daughter went off to college this fall in Miami. His boys are older and on their own. He said he's just going to throw himself into it and grind like he knows how and be everything all at once. Now, obviously, I think that means we're going to see him pull away a bit more from UFC, even though he didn't say that. You're seeing David Shaw more. You're seeing John Anik host more press conferences. I think you'd have to believe Hunter Campbell's going to get a big push out of this scenario, right?
Yeah, who knows? Max Kellerman as a TKO kind of voice could as well. The other part about that is, BC, is now, from what I saw in the press release, I read it this morning and I shared it on Twitter as well, that, you know, this is going to be on Paramount Plus, obviously, and that some of these might go on CBS. So why would you put a Contender Series event on CBS? I guess I don't understand that. Like, CBS is only taking for UFC numbered events, and, you know, maybe they'll put the prelims on there too, but what they're really interested in is, of course, the main event, or I should say the main card, rather. Like, that makes a lot of sense. Are you really going to put Contender Series fights there? So, like, the way in which this has been described doesn't, I guess I would just have, I'm not saying it doesn't make sense. I'm saying we don't have enough information to fully get a grasp, because what they're saying seems, at least in part, a little bit contradictory.
It is, but I think Dana has somewhat clarified that in recent months with what you said, the idea that this will be, you know, he wants to rip up boxing from the ground floor, rebuild it. Yes, this will be the house of the creating the new stars for tomorrow, to put them on Riyadh season and Ring magazine cards. But yeah, I don't know what that means. I don't know if there could be quarterly cards on CBS that involve Turkey fighters as well, or if this is just a Zuffa boxing thing. Because remember, we're going to see 2 to 4 big events a year on Netflix, in which Zuffa fighters will make up the undercard. So it's really, a lot of that is unknown. Like you're saying, when will that sort of full emergence between Zuffa boxing and what Turkey's doing happen? I think obviously they're going to have to really establish themselves first. Dana keeps comparing it to UFC's Tuesday night fights, and I don't hate that comparison. If Zuffa boxing becomes sort of a monthly all action prospect versus prospect thing, like he wants to do, it potentially can be exciting. Luke, before we hear from Dana about a number of things, including the Ali Act part of this, what do you think this means overnight, you know, essentially for Paramount CBS? Like, unfortunately, we were a big part of what they were doing on Showtime, and under the old ownership, they were forced to sunset Showtime to stay alive financially. And now, less than 2 years later, they're almost in a premier position in combat.
Yeah, I mean, it's the benefits of merger. I mean, you would be able to answer this question better than me. Like, what is the internal sense?
That we're going huge on the coverage of this. Obviously, we know how much they paid for the UFC. We don't know the financial details of this Zuffa boxing package, although I think it's been rumored to be around 152 million over 5 years, or 200 million, excuse me, over 5 years. But I've got to believe this is a major shift in the broadcasting landscape here, combat sports wise, in terms of you know, the Ellisons coming in here with Skydance and trying, you know, as you read sometimes, trying to turn Paramount into a something that's competing directly with Netflix and Prime, not necessarily just its other sporting counterpoints.
Yeah, I mean, you know, Paramount Plus has a bigger reach than ESPN Plus, but is a loss leader, and for a while was hemorrhaging money, and they're trying to fix that. And I think bringing in a dedicated army of combat sports fans certainly gets you a long way. Again, they're already John Nash believes that there's no possible way for Paramount to make their money back with the UFC deal, but that's their cross to bear. They can figure that out. It remains to be seen what it's going to be costing for the Zuffa boxing side of things. They didn't announce any monetary figure on this deal. Again, I guess we'll get some more of that going forward. It certainly positions CBS and Paramount, at least in North America. I mean, BC, we've talked about it. Like, take out Paramount for a second. Imagine UFC still with ESPN and blah, blah, blah. Like, the way in which corporate media has pulled back from both MMA and boxing is, I think you would agree, based on where it was at a high watermark, pretty alarming. It's a significant drawdown. However, it has now, in the American side of things, kind of all just landed in a single home. Now, we don't know what's going to happen with Top Rank at ESPN or any other place they might end up going to. We don't know what's going to happen with PFL at ESPN BC. But certainly, by the time January 1, 2026 rolls around, CBS and Paramount are the leaders in combat sports by a country mile in North America and arguably even the world, given the portfolio of what they're going to have access to. We'll see what happens from there.
Indeed. Big news here. Let's hear from Dana. What should boxing fans expect? Here's Dana White.
When I was a massive boxing fan, I used to watch USA's Tuesday Night Fights. I talk about it all the time. It was one of my favorite shows of all time. And all the big boxing stars of the 90s and pay-per-view came off of that show. I felt like back then there were very competitive fights with guys who should have been fighting each other at that time. And that's what I want to do. I mean, basically, as a boxing fan, the way that the UFC was built was all the things that I loved about boxing and all the things that I hated about boxing is how I built, the UFC and the sport. So I would expect a lot of what you saw early on in the UFC to happen with boxing now. But it's different. Being aligned with Saudi Arabia and Sheikh Turkey always wanting to put on these fights that nobody sees coming or fights that people don't think can be made is part of the fun of it too.
Indeed.
That doesn't sound like, I gotta say, that doesn't sound like Contender Series to me.
No,
sounds like something
I mean,
much bigger.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It is something much bigger, but it's still an idea to look. He said that him and Nick Khan met, and they've got a list of 450 the fighters that they're going to go after. Wasn't able to confirm. We know they're going to lower the weight divisions. There's currently 17 or 18 if you count bridgerweight in boxing, and they want to significantly lower that. We know that they don't want to use the four sanctioning bodies and the traditional title system, which is why the Ali Act changes and the amendments will need to happen for them to award their own championships, which is a controversial topic unto itself. But I did specifically ask him, will they be working with other promoters, or is this going to be a league on its own, fighters sign with just them and they only compete against each other? Here's what Dana had to say.
Yeah, I don't really know yet. Listen, I live in my own little bubble. I'm going to do my thing. I'm not worried about what any of those guys are doing. And to be honest with you, I think those guys are all, they don't think big enough. They don't think big enough. These guys have been in the business for however long. And I like Eddie Hearn. And I see what Eddie Hearn went like Oscar De La Hoya overnight, but he's got a lot of attention. So I get it. But I like Eddie. And, but I think those guys all think small. They don't think the way that I think. I had Bob Arum and, a bunch of those guys in the past saying that this model was ridiculous and it's a joke. The sport's a joke. It's never going to make it. And, all the things that they've said. But when you look at what we've done things that have never been done ever in the combat sports industry. And, I say it all the time. Tell me a business or a sport that has generated trillions of dollars in revenue. And at the end of the day, there's absolutely nothing there. That is the sport of boxing in a nutshell. And I just, all the guys that want to compete with me and all this stuff, I think way bigger than you guys do. So I'm not competing with the other promoters. I'm competing with whatever takes the attention of the fans on the night that we're on television. It could be a release of a big movie. It could be the NFL. It could be your wife or your girlfriend that you got to take out that night, your kids. That's my competition.
Luke, are you feeling like when he says stuff like that, like they're not thinking big enough? And in some cases, I do wonder if he's right here. I just made that mention that at some point it's all going to probably merge together. I wonder if we start off as sort of a prospect builder, build fighters that will graduate to Turkey. But don't you get the feeling that long term, if Turkey and Dana are going to partner together for this much money with this much at stake, that it's going to be Zuffa Boxing, the UFC of boxing, and that's where Turkey, Dana, Nick Khan, and all the fighters will live. Like, I feel like that's the end game, right?
I just don't see how. I mean, I can see how there would be ways that some separation would exist in the business over time. It's not to say that they'll be exactly the same and they're going to merge and automatically. I mean, Turkey's already still part of Zuffa Boxing, even at this level anyway. So I mean, there's really no firewall, but you know what I mean? Like, it just becomes one seamless operation. I can imagine there'd be some ways where that would be departed, but like, what is the natural conclusion of what, if he's thinking this big, right? And you're partnered with that entity, what other direction does it go unless it just fails? Right. So if it fails, okay, fine. But if it keeps going, like, just imagine what the inevitable conclusion is. And sometimes that can be hard to do a year, 2, 3, 5, 10 years out. But that's just that's just where it's all headed. They're not trying to, and it's a related conversation, and we don't have to delve into it, express it right now. But I just want to bring up, they're not trying to change federal law so they can have a small footprint. They're not trying to do these things where they're partnering with this enormous fund of wealth to have a small footprint. All of this is designed, again, what about what Dana White has built in UFC, even if you love every part of it, what about that has been small in scale and small in ambition? Nothing. Why would that change now?
Yeah, that's why when we talk about the possibility of simulcast on CBS, what if Turkey gives him a, Shakur versus Teo type main event? You fill the undercard with Zuffa fighters, you put that live and free on CBS. I wonder if we're headed in that type of direction. So,
that's right. Yes.
Big news right there. And of course, the elephant in the room is the Ali Act, and whether the changes that have been proposed to Congress that are supposed to be looked at later this year are going to be necessary for it or not to happen for Zuffa Boxing to happen. I asked Dana that. Dana, boxing seems to be split over the proposed amendments to the Muhammad Ali Reform Act that it's expected to be presented in front of Congress later this year. It already has bipartisan support. We've seen a lot of people split on this. How important are these changes to be made to the idea of you having success launching this league in 2026?
Well, let's be clear. There will be zero changes to the Muhammad Ali Act. Not one word will be changed. And the Muhammad Ali Act. We're going to add on to it. So the guys who, guys being fighters that want to fight under the Muhammad Ali Act, exactly the way it is, will have that opportunity to do that. And then, or you can bet on me and fight with me under our version of the Muhammad Ali Act. So that thing's been blown a lot out of proportion, and I get it. And I knew people were going to freak out because that's what people do. But yeah, what was the question?
I said, do you need those changes to happen to launch your league in 2026?
No.
Or the amendments that you want to add on? Right.
No, but we're doing it. Listen, the Muhammad Ali Act was put in place with all good intentions, and but I think that it's held the business back.
So look, in some ways we already knew what he said to be true, but I guess he's just spelling it out even more. The old Ali Act will stay what it is. You can stay with the 4 sanctioning bodies, and whatever promoters are not going to be part of, or whatever fighters and promotions are not going to be connected to Zuffa Boxing. But if you're in Zuffa Boxing, as he says, you're going to bet on him that those amendments in the long run will take care of you.
Yeah. I mean, we don't have to honor this. I mean,
right.
Like, hey, this is going to be Contender Series, but it's going to be on CBS. Hey, we want to change federal law, but we don't need it for our product. And it's like, who is this intended to fool? Like, you don't actually need any of these changes. Oh, and we're not changing the act. We're not altering one word. We're adding on to it. Yeah, but the add-on undoes the other stuff, where the bare minimum grants exemption to those who meet the criteria that was designed by lobbyists and written by lobbyists for your company. Like, what the fuck are we talking about here? It's insane to me. It's like, oh, we're not changing the Ali Act. We're just adding on to it. And It's all this like, oh, no. It looks like, oh, yeah, we don't need any of those proposals for our business to work. Well, then why do you want those changes? And why do you want it implemented? Like, it doesn't, none of this makes any sense in terms of the answer. And what material impact it will have within year 1 or year 2 or year 5, BC, I guess we'll see. But I just don't understand rich people and very powerful people changing motherfucking federal law and being like, yeah, we don't really need this, and we're not even changing anything. It's like, just say what it is you want to do so we can have an honest conversation about it.
Yeah, fair enough on that. We'll see how it all plays out here as Zuffa Boxing set to launch in January on Paramount Plus. We got a bonus topic today, topic number 6, and we're going to look at a couple of the biggest storylines surrounding Friday's UFC 320 card in Las Vegas, one of the final pay-per-views here of the ESPN era. And this road to UFC 320 is brought to you by Total Wireless, the official wireless provider of UFC. Get unlimited data that won't slow you down. LT, we're going to go deep on the pregame preview on Friday, of course, but I am so damn fired up, and I don't feel like people are as excited as they should be for this main event on Saturday, as Magomed Ankalaev looks to make the first defense of his light heavyweight title that he took via unanimous decision in March from Alex Pereira. It was a big upset, but now we've got this this new storyline lingering here of what type of shape was Poatan really in the first time around. I want to play one piece of sound for you because I feel like this is becoming a big narrative, and then we can respond. I did have Alex Pereira on the Brian Campbell Experience this week, and he revealed to me just how hurt or ill. He won't tell me what happened, but he's now coming clean that something held him back from his best performance. Let's hear him talk about that.
Deal with that is not cool, but honestly, man, like if I put together everything that was going on with me, and I'm not gonna say right now, it makes me even happy that I was able to do the fight that I did on everything that was going on with me. I'm not trying to talk over there, anything like that. Of course, I'm not happy that with the loss, but knowing my potential and, like, you know what I mean, the way that I fought, you know what I mean, I'm actually even surprised that I was able to fight like that on everything that was going on with me.
What was the most difficult part about dealing with Ankalaev in your first fight in March?
I think the conditions that I was coming to that fight, that I had coming to that fight.
So, I mean, were you 50% of what you normally are in that fight? 40%? Are you willing to put a number on it?
Honestly, I was about 40% on that fight, on that night.
Wow.
And obviously, it's going to be much more this time. But if I'm only 50%, that 10% is going to make such a great difference. They're going to leave no doubt for everybody.
Luke, if you remember, it was Joe Rogan who kind of put it out there shortly after that fight in March that Poatan was battling norovirus, that he had a broken hand. Although that was never confirmed by Pereira, who doesn't like to make excuses. I like that he's at least becoming honest about this. Do you feel that news as excuses for a guy that just lost his title? Or are you of the belief that if he comes back 100%, this is an entirely different fight on Saturday?
I'm open to the idea that it could be an entirely different fight. I think if Poatan can move, he doesn't have to, you know, think about his energy output so carefully, and his hand is obviously in a place where he can deliver punishment. It's a different fight. The one thing I will say though, BC, is, and I will talk about this on Friday, that, you know, when you look at his takedown defense in that fight, like, okay, I mean, it basically did the job of stopping takedowns more, so that's great. But he just looked so frightened in those things. I mean, he was able to get them, but like you could tell he was fighting it, and you want to fight him aggressively, but he was fighting it in such a almost like a safely, neurotically defensive kind of way. If that part is there because you're still just afraid of the takedown or what the takedown might mean, well, I don't know if you're going to get a different fight, BC. Now, you might get a boring fight. You know what I mean? I'm not even saying it's going to be a good fight, but I'm saying to the extent that Poatan looks in his defensive wrestling like he did in the first fight, yeah, the good news is, by and large, he's going to be on his feet. The bad news is what that signals is a certain kind of hyper defensive prioritization of something where it should be a little bit more free-flowing in the rest of his game. And if he doesn't have that, then I think he's got problems.
Yeah, and I do feel like he's not offering this. Like, I had to ask him 3 separate times to sort of give me like some form of an answer. I get that he fought injured like most of that stretch when he made all those title defenses in a short period. He saved the card when McGregor broke his toe when he was already battling a broken toe and then broke a toe on the other foot in the fight. So he's willing to take risks. I thought it was a really good UFC Countdown episode that really put the focus on this matchup. It's interesting, Luke. He lost the first fight. He deserves to have lost the first fight, talking about Pereira. Yet he stuffed all 12 takedowns from Ankalaev. So it was like there was a win in that. And it wasn't as if Ankalaev left absolutely no doubt. I thought he was the clear winner, even though I scored it 3-2. He was the better fighter. He rocked Poatan that one time. But I feel like in some ways, both fighters could do a lot better than they did the first time.
Yes, absolutely. To the extent that Poatan was compromised and he can get a better game plan, a lot is more possible. On top of that, I think Ankalaev kind of heard a little bit of some of the feedback. I'm sure he's happy to win the title and feels like, there's a degree of happiness he has with the performance. But, I think the fact that they're doing this again probably indicates to him that he needs to do it more forcefully. And BC, he's had some wild, subsequent fights with previous opponents. So, but that's another one where, some of the rematches did not look the same. So I'd be curious to see what this, but I mean, he must know they put you right back in this one because there's a little bit of unfinished business. Like it just wasn't a very enjoyable handoff of the belt from one guy to the other. They got to make him do it again.
I think he won it with pressure, but even he said it himself in the Countdown episode. He now sees all these moments where there were openings to step in after he hurt Poatan and land more, or openings to secure a takedown when he had him backed up to the cage that he didn't necessarily take. I mean, I think we can say, is he first team all donk? In some ways he is, but he's also tentative to a fault, even though he was the guy putting on pressure. And I think that was the reason why he had so much success. I think they both can do a lot better. I'm expecting a better rematch here, entertainment wise. The DraftKings odds at the moment, by the way, -258 Ankalaev, +210 Pereira. So that's pretty damn interesting here. Long Island Luke, quickly on that. You gotta be loving Pereira plus odds to come back at age 38 and potentially right the wrong, right?
Yeah, I did get Ankalaev at plus money in the first fight, so the odds are reversed this time around. I think those are two
+210 for Pereira. Jesus,
I got to take that. Yeah,
dude, I'm a believer that he will be healthier, more vicious, and more active. Here's Poatan hitting the pads with Planio Cruz there at the PI. Watch the ferocity here. Don't dead wrong me. That was obviously Glover Teixeira for most of those on the business end. But Luke, any fighter can look dangerous on the pads, but if he's going to be coming forward rather than backing up in this rematch, it's going to be fun.
The body language looked good, but I mean, that doesn't tell us much about takedown defense. Listen, I'll just say I'm excited for the fight. I think most people are, especially at +210. I'm not a gambling guy, but just the notion of how people have every 2024, how many of these jabronis were like, Poatan's the fighter of the year, and in 2025, they forgot about him.
Yes.
They forgot about him. They don't care about the Shama. They got him at +210 against Ankalaev. Well, apparently 2024 was not all that impressive. Interesting.
Well, they had a little run-in at the PI that has been the big early topic in the narrative storylines. Here's just a quick little sprinkle of the two of them exchanging words.
Vou bater em você. Vou bater de mão aberta. Na sua cara.
Unfortunately, Luke, they have to talk trash through a translator app on the phone, so it loses that feeling. But Pereira accused Ankalaev of hiding at the PI when he walked in. Ankalaev called him a liar. They met a few times. They did some back and forths. I'm just like, you want to poke the bear, Poatan? You want to make him feel like people forgot him? I mean, I hear people in MMA circles saying, one more loss and his career's over. Dude, this guy might come back and y'all must have forgot on Saturday. Seriously, this might be that type of thing.
It could, or, dude, You have a moment on top, and when it's over, it is over.
It is over.
You know?
It is over. Well, here's one more clip of Pereira aura farming at a haunted house. If this
How many of these clips are we watching? What the fuck is this?
Every single one. There you go, Luke.
I'm really glad we added that to the show. Thanks.
That was from Have You Seen This Shit, but I pulled it for this to make it more
Okay.
That's UFC 320, of course, on Saturday. And this podcast is sponsored by Total Wireless, the official wireless partner of UFC. When you're streaming the fight or sharing those takedown highlights, you need a wireless provider that keeps you close to the action. With Total Wireless, you're covered by the Verizon 5G network, so you don't have to worry about your connection being KO'd at the biggest moments. And it's not something you normally say, hey, my wireless promoter's in my corner 24/7. The thing is, with Total Wireless, they keep you covered for just $25 a month. And that's talking about 4 lines without ever sacrificing essentials like speed. And with Total, you get unlimited 5G data so you can stay ahead of the action and keep up with every big moment. Total Wireless also understands that those surprise blows, the punches you don't see coming, those will get you out of there. So they're going to guarantee the price for 5 years with the taxes and fees included. The best fighters, they don't make it to the top without that all-in support. Find out what Total Wireless can do for you by visiting TotalWireless.com. Visit your local Total Wireless store. Learn more about how Total Wireless can be in your corner. 5G access requires a 5G-capable device and a 5G service area. Monthly rate on the Total Base 5G Unlimited plan for new subscribers applies only to the monthly rate for your plan. Additional terms apply. See the website for more details. Let's head over to the fans here every Sunday night at Morning Kombat on X and the IG. We give you a chance to get your questions answered. This one's called DMs from a Horned Up Donkey. Yeah, that's still gross to me, Luke. Won't lie to you.
It is disturbing.
Our first question comes from Nankisor. You go back in time to 2015. You can speak with any fighter for 5 minutes. Who do you choose and what do you tell them? Interesting, Luke Thomas.
Maybe Rousey.
But at 2015, I guess that's
she made the
year
UFC debut in 2014, right?
I think it was 13, and she lost in December of 2015 to Holly Holm, I believe, right? Yeah, that's correct.
What would I tell them? I guess I don't understand. What am I trying to tell them?
I think you're trying to save them from themselves. I mean, you can't tell them about 9/11. You got to, that's not going to work up timeline wise. Do you tell her, don't take that home fight on such a short turnaround when you're filming a movie, and don't trust Edmund to teach you boxing?
Yeah, I'd probably do that. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
What about you?
I'd probably warn Kane.
That's not a bad call. That's a good call. It's a much better call. Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah. I don't know where else we're supposed to go with this. I mean,
it's kind of a weird question.
Yeah. Get your name on the class action lawsuit so you can collect in 2025, maybe. I don't know. Okay, great. Let's go to the next question here. From a man and his cat. If you could pick 3 combat sports athletes for a dinner party, who would you have? And the translators come for free if needed. LT, give me in your damn dining room, which 3 MMA fighters, and don't do the bit where you don't want to talk.
Relax. I mean, I'm allowed to reject performative genuflection, but we'll put that aside.
I performatively genuflect in hotel rooms all the time, Luke. Okay?
I bet you do. Okay. Let me. The thing is, I would have picked Chael, but I've interviewed him so many times, and I still occasionally talk to him over text. So I don't know if I'd put. I mean, ordinarily he'd be candidate 1, right?
Yes.
Man, that's a good question. Go first, so I can get my juices flowing here. Who would you?
I
pick?
love DC. Is he eligible? Can I pick Daniel Cormier?
Sure, that's a great conversationalist as well. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yep. He'll make you laugh. He'll make you feel good.
Oh, I got one. Brian Stan. I do Brian Stan.
Okay.
Joanna. I'd rather go hungry.
Okay. All right. I
trying to
mean,
think.
could I do wrong with Dustin Poirier or Max Holloway? I mean, these are, you know,
how could you go wrong with either? How could you
go
pick one? I'll pick the other.
All right, I'm gonna pick. All right, I got DC, I got Joanna, and I got Layla Mach. No, sorry, I got Sean Brady.
Sean Brady's pretty good. I'd add Max, and then I'd add. Man, I feel like we got to get. You know what? I'm gonna take. Yeah, exactly. Well, hold on. I'm actually gonna have the pairing of Holloway and Volk together, because rather than just trying to just be like, oh, I want just 3 great names, I want to pick people who had a rivalry and then dig down in the rivalry. And I know it was one-sided in that sense, but still, you know.
Will you watch the second fight with them for the 50th time in your life?
That'd be the only occasion where I would be.
Okay, thank you very much.
That'd be the only occasion where I would.
Long Island Luke wants to cook with Volk, and then everyone else is Aussie, I'm sure.
And then he says Gastelum because this is him writing it. He writes Gastelum because he eats good.
I'm just thinking of at a dinner party, Gastelum's gonna be like, we need this, we need this. He's gonna bring like good sides and stuff, you know.
I think he might eat the sides. I don't know if he's bringing.
He will, but he's gonna bring the good shit.
All right, what about Carlos Pratish if he was willing to smoke outside?
That's pretty good. I was gonna say you need a drinker. You need a wild card, just heavy drinker. You know, like I was thinking Tai Tuivasa, so I was gonna go Tai.
Dude, I mean, but then he's gonna pee on your furniture.
Yeah,
he might be a little too wild. You know, you got to go a little tamer. But who else is like maybe like Paul Craig? You know, he might be.
Okay, how about Paul Craig, Michael Chiesa? Like basically our best room service diaries, right? Like
Yes is a good call too. Yeah. Oh yeah. There's a few different directions you could go.
Yeah. All right. Interesting stuff. Our third question comes from Cubbies fan 80. If there was a Mount Rushmore of one-hit wonders, Flagpole Sitta by Harvey Danger has to be on it, right? Yes, for me. But
yes.
Luke, what are your go-to favorite one-hit wonders of all time?
One-hit wonders. Let's think about that. I mean, definitely has to be. And I said, what about breakfast at Tiffany's?
That's by Deep Blue something. Yes. Breakfast
so
at
that's
Tiffany's.
got to be on the list, right?
That's on the. Yeah, I'll put that on there. Flagpole Sitta by Harvey Danger.
Let me ask you a question: are the Spin Doctors one-hit wonders?
No, they're more of a one-album wonder, but they have multiple hits on that album. Yeah.
Okay, fair enough.
How about You Get What You Give by the New Radicals?
Yeah, that's another good one. What is that song by The Knack?
My Sharona.
My Sharona. I mean, come on, that's a banger.
That's a banger. How about The Freshman by the Verve Pipe? Come on.
That's another good one.
Yeah.
What are some ones we're not thinking of? There were so many in the 90s.
Blind Melon a one-hit wonder? No Rain?
No, Blind Melon was they had a bit of a following. That's a little different.
But they were like, yeah. How about Matt, our buddy, or Daniel Snyder's nephew once, Torn by Natalie Imbruglia.
Didn't she have a career in Australia? Wasn't she Australian?
Maybe. What about Come On Eileen by Dexy's Midnight Runners? Raiders?
I did plenty of that in college. Hey,
oh, goodness.
Four Non-Blondes. Yep, Four Non-Blondes.
Oh, dude, I know which one. Mazzy Star. What's that song they had?
Fade into You.
Yeah, Fade Into You. That's kind of a banger on the radio. Okay,
I fucking hate that song.
My wife hates that song.
Of course, you like it on in your orange Subaru.
What about Marcy Playground, Sex and Candy?
Yes. Hanging around.
What about Local H, Bound for the Floor? I mean, that wasn't the biggest hit, but you know, kind of
that's
thing.
a good one. Weedest Teenage
Closing
Dirtbag.
Time by Semisonic.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Yeah.
We're only naming 90s songs.
Yeah, we are.
We're fucking in our 40s. We are anyway. So what do you want from us?
Okay. There we go. Good stuff there. Let's hear it from Sergeant Molina. If you had to replace yourself with one active UFC fighter to co-host MK, I assume permanently co-host MK. So Luke, let's say tomorrow, I say sayonara. We had a good run. But the key is they're like, we're only continuing with the show and paying you if you pick an active UFC fighter. Who are you going to call?
You're not easily replaced. I'll say that. Fuck. I don't even know who could do the job. Dude, I'm not even sure who could do the job in MMA media, much less among active UFC.
Well,
Long
thank
Island
you.
Luke, chime in here. Like, what direction am I supposed to be going?
I was gonna say like anyone who's a commentator, like Paul Felder, Dom's
They're not active though.
retired now.
Paul's
Yeah,
or
but they're
Dom?
not
Oh,
active.
Paul's
yeah.
retired
The,
too.
the
Good
rule is you
call.
gotta be throwing the hands.
All right. Chiesa is active still.
Barely.
Chiesa could do it. I have a good rapport with Chiesa. Yeah, I mean that's probably the closest I'm gonna get.
This is hard. Who's good at breaking down fights as an active fighter? Aljo?
I mean, they all have some ability, but the question is not just that. It's boxing. It's talking on camera. It's
Humor. Humility, maybe too. Yeah.
True.
You bitch. The entire show today was your catalog of interviews. Where is this humility coming from?
It was a big special. Yeah, it was a big focus special.
What the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah, I'm trying. Wait, let me look at the rankings. If I had to replace Luke right now, hey, how about Tom Aspinall?
Not bad.
Okay.
I don't know. Yeah, not because he's British. He might have a little sense of the boxing
dude,
too.
Corey Sandhagen. He's got dry humor for days, right?
Corey Sandhagen was the one that popped in my mind first, but I wasn't sure if it was a good call or not.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, or I could just go like Montana.
By the way, I found out something about Corey Sandhagen for the fights. He is not working with Ryan Hall anymore. I don't know why, but I did find that out, and keep that in mind because I think grappling is going to be a pretty important part of this fight.
Indeed. Let's go over our final question from Mike Crinchin, 1995.
Yeah, that's it. You nailed it.
I'm stealing this one from another podcast, but what would 25-year-old BC and LT be most surprised about current day you? 25 was the last year that I was an absolute dirt hole, Luke. So I would be.
But I'm still the same piece of shit that I ever was.
Wow.
Probably.
I would be entirely surprised about my life right now, but the most surprised would be easily my career. Easily. Yeah. Not even close. Nothing.
No.
Because
I think mine would be how little my life has changed.
Oh, get out of here. You don't really mean that.
Kinda. I've done some cool things, but
wife and daughter? Come on.
No,
you own a house?
I didn't say I wasn't lucky. I'm talking about me personally.
All right.
Talking about me personally. Yeah, I'd probably say that there's I did not do the things I thought I would do between 25 and 45.
Really?
Yeah. I think I feel very comfortable saying that. Mm-hmm.
Do you realize there's still time or no?
Yes, that's true. Yes. Okay. Life is full of. If there's one thing I've learned, BC, it's that it is very hard to predict the future. Just when you think you've got it figured out, you don't.
I didn't think I'd be part of the UFC machine right now. I'll tell you that much. I did not think that.
Churning that butter.
Here we go. All right. Thank you for those DMs. Remember, you can reach the show at morningkombat@gmail.com. Tell Mikey we said hi. We're not going to play your fan subs or dead wrongs this Friday, but we'll be back next week. So reach the show, show your privates. It's morningkombat@gmail.com. Our final segment gives me an opportunity to search the internet, the highs and lows, the good, the bad, the ugly, the in-between, for the weirdest videos of the week to get Luke Thomas to emote. This one's called, have you seen this shit? Luke, let's check in on the NFL. Reason number 5,000 not to bring your family to a game. Here's 49ers versus Cardinals.
Why would you ever go to a football game?
Why would you bring your children?
What on earth could possibly be the point?
All right, watch that big guy in the red shirt closely, okay? The guy that looks like Ponyo Cruz right there.
I got my dude.
Wow.
These people are drunk, reckless zeros. They don't mind going to jail and then they want to sit around you. Why the fuck would you ever go around these people?
Wow. Yeah. Look at this still going on. Look at that guy in the wife beater right there.
Oh yeah.
I mean, this thing's just gonna keep playing World Star style.
This is why I have a big screen TV. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, thank you. Indeed.
That's
All
why
right.
this is why I'm a dedicated Samsung customer.
Yes. Well, Luke, I got the footage of that moment I mentioned from your team, the Commanders. Here's Marcus Mariota sending your coach to hell.
Mariota, but yeah.
Oh, same thing upside down, right?
Boom!
Wow.
Take that, Dan Quinn.
Wow! Oh, that the head bounced. Did you see that?
Yeah, it did, and it cut his nose too.
The NFL was in Dublin this weekend. CBS Sports was on the scene. Our good friend.
I want to point out very quickly. NFL made it to Croke Park before Conor McGregor did.
Amazing, right? Well, the NFL pregame show there with our good friend Amanda Guerra, AG2. They had a little bit of a drink off with the analysts. Check out Kyle Long here.
Cheers. Okay, here we go. Oh, we're doing it now. Okay, here we go.
Okay, Kyle's just gonna chug the whole thing like a freaking champ.
Ireland.
Oh, okay.
We love football. We love Ireland here at NFL Today Plus.
Kyle totally chugged it. You didn't quite get it.
Thanks for the beer, boy.
Wow, took that guy downtown, right?
That is Howie Long's son.
I think so. Yes, Kyle Long, correct? Yeah.
Yeah, that is.
Or was that Chris Long? Who's Kyle? Wait, Long Island Luke. I always make football errors and get dead wrong here. Can you fill in here?
I'm not the guy. I don't know enough about football.
He's like, bro, if he doesn't play for the Jets, I don't know shit.
All right. Let's head over to the food truck scene. You ever seen this truck before?
Crazy for cocks and ass. What the fuck?
I'd eat there, Luke. I'd eat there despite the name. All right.
You know what? Now BC and I are intrigued.
Yes. All right. Hey, it's UFC Perth time. Here's your question of the week from the presser.
For Reyes, do you agree with everyone else that Carlos is the best looking guy in the UFC?
Man, I gotta fight this ugly ass dude right here. Are you serious? Yes, sir.
Do you think they saw each other again, Luke?
They should bring back corporal punishment in society.
All right. Let's hear from Jimmy Crute post-fight. Look, he's just one of us at the end of the day.
And finally, any beers tonight?
Couple. Okay, we're going beers and karaoke tonight. That's what I'm feeling.
What's your karaoke song?
Anything by Creed, I reckon I'm going to rip the fuck into.
Do you want to give it a crack now?
Can you take me higher?
Yeah, let's go.
Home and now. Right? Come on, Luke. No? We should do Creed karaoke night with MK. If we had a budget, that'd be great.
Creed karaoke night?
Yeah.
I think we'd get thrown out of any bar we did that.
Where our fans come and then we all just get sloppy and
all right, that would be a little bit different. That I might do, but
Luke, well, the holiday season is coming on fast. I got some gift ideas for you. I mean, not directly from you, to be fair. I mean,
maybe I'll give that gift certificate to my wife. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, thank you very much. Your Riz of the week, shout out to the Rizzler, goes to this guy, the Tia Smasher. Look at this guy. Yeah.
Dude, that is the weirdest build on a man I have ever seen.
You know that guy bangs. You know it.
I mean, absolute hooers, but yeah.
All right, let's go back to our famous segment, Would You Eat? Now, Luke, this was proved to be fictional AI and not real, but Branson, Missouri once considered having the first McDonald's buffet at $12.99 selling cheeseburgers, nuggets, and fries. Would you eat for $12.99?
Yes.
I would take that thing downtown.
Yes. I mean, that food is all beige, but I would... Listen, I ate at fucking Roy Rogers buffets. What on earth could be worse than that at McDonald's? Nothing. Yeah, I'll take it.
Maybe this next food item. Would you eat this, Luke? They call it a ravioli dog.
No, because I'm not in prison. This is for...
sorry, it's called a weenioli. Weenioli.
This is the kind of food Long Island Luke makes for his girlfriend, which is why his relationship
Hell
is strong,
no.
you know
Hell no.
I would totally eat that at his house and then hit that giant...
It's like yeah, what's on top of that hot dog? Yeah, beefaroni. Yeah, I'm good.
Luke, our next or final would you eat is mixing two of my favorite things, maybe just not together at the same time.
You know, some British piece of shit came up with this. These dog food eating motherfuckers. Why would I eat this even on a dare?
Yeah, we make that joke on my boxing pod with Rafe where he's like, my favorite two things in the world are women and boxing, just not at the same time, right?
By the way, you know who I talked to last week? Very briefly. I didn't tell you about this. I will after the show. What was his name? Jake, basically. Jake
Von Amsterdam.
Jake Von Amsterdam. Yeah, I spoke to Jake Von Amsterdam.
All right, nice. I love that guy.
We'll see.
All right. Your police check of the week. Check this out. In good old Brandon, Mississippi.
I saw this. Watch this hit.
Damn.
Oh my fucking Lord, dude. And if you hear the audio, he lands on that thing like I don't know. Like, I mean, he actually gets up and goes, "You broke my back. You broke my back." I bet he did, sir. Don't run in cuffs.
Doctor said I need a backiotomy. Luke, lacrosse can be a dangerous game. Be careful before putting your kids in it. Check out this referee in this game. Oh boy.
Dude, that has to be. And it wasn't the Bozak. But it was that inside soft part of the thigh.
Close enough.
Oh, man.
Close enough.
That's terrible.
Gets worse for this lacrosse player. Let's watch this.
Dude.
First he gets punched in the face and then hit in the face by the ball.
Those lacrosse balls, those things are weapons. That is an insane level of punishment to take.
Luke, want to see my dream couch for my first apartment? I wish I had this. I would have probably gotten the same amount of sex, though, to be fair, right?
Anybody who gets laid in that apartment must be the world's best lover, because no straight woman would ever want to fuck a guy there.
All right, let's go to the assembly. Here's your 3-pointer of the week. Watch the balls on this kid.
You talk about you and how blessed you are. In Jesus' name, I pray. Amen. Have a good weekend.
You made it. Dude, I'm here for that.
You know that kid ain't gonna amount to nothing in life.
Probably not. Let's set up our crash outs of the week. First, we'll check out Scooter Karen here.
Hey, what? Was ist los da?
Scheiße! Ja, Mensch! Ich hab die Nerven nicht mehr dafür, für solche.
Was that German?
I think it was Dragon, actually. Look, I don't know. That was pretty scary. Let's go to the tennis court for the next rage out. That's great. That's just
great. I will say this. Karens actually do have, how like buzzards, you need them in the ecosystem to like eat dead things.
Yes.
But you're like, I would never want to do that. They're fucking gross. They're horrible, but you need them. You do need Karens. But when they get to that level where they're just completely unstable pieces of shit, then you don't need them anymore. You know what I'm saying?
Well, Luke, to close on our rage outs, crash outs here, there's obviously those Instagram, TikTok trends where kids run into stores and cause mayhem and end up being assholes. And I usually don't approve of it. But this one made me laugh.
Yeah, I don't give 2 fucks this Mother's Day. I'm going to the bar. No, I'm not giving you nothing. I'm not bringing a pie home.
Bro, get the fuck out of here right now. Call the cops.
Yeah.
Get out of here.
No, I'm not.
Get out of here.
Yo, he's not prepared to give me Mother's Day. It's Mother's Day.
Bring your fucking fathers down here. Tell them to fucking scream at me like that in my fucking restaurant.
Mine died.
Get the fuck out of here. That's your fucking problem. Calm down, Mr. Clean.
Yeah, hey, Lou DiBella, chill out for a second. All right, come on.
Nah, I mean, these people just you gotta fuck with people who deserve to be fucked with. Random restaurant owners are not those people.
All right. Well, somebody effed with somebody's abuela here, and it gave us our T-shirt of the week. Luke, do you approve of this?
Wow.
Are you buying what she's selling, Luke?
Not exactly my type, but I'm curious.
Okay. All right. We've got our tattoo of the week. Please rate it, Luke.
Jesus Christ. Wow. That is a negative 9,000 823. That is really bad.
Boy, this is a bad batch of shit here. Nothing's really working.
It's a little dark.
Let's go to our KOs of the week. Let's hit the Taekwondo game here. Match.
Boom! That was, dude, I tell you what, in Taekwondo, every once in a while, you get some, I mean, quite literally acrobatic knockouts, right?
Damn, that was a good one. Watch this next one. Watch the guy on the left.
Oh, that's what I'm saying. Well, maybe this is a karate. I'm not even sure. Let's roll at Rolling Thunder. Bah!
Oh, that is so good. The timing on there.
So sick.
All right, we got one more KO of the week. It comes from this foreign bar. Damn.
That you got to get that guy in an action movie.
Seriously.
That was sick.
Wow, that guy had it coming too. You could tell. Wow. All right. Luke, it wouldn't be HYSTS without a visit from Celine, the cake lady.
Oh my God. Yeah, eat that dog food, you absolute demon. Yeah, I bet it tastes delicious.
Is it cake or not, Luke? Turns out, wait, what?
Here comes the cat. Why don't you cut the cat up too, you demonic force? And oh, there's the coffee maker, which of course is not real. Plastic eating wench. Yeah, and she looks so just dude, I one time saw a homeless man eating the bag. Does she have to eat weird shit? You can just eat your fucking clothes. Oh my God.
There's only one place for her to go next, Luke, and that's porn, obviously. All right. She's
just gonna start gobbling on genitalia. It's gonna be unbelievable. Dude, why can't she just eat normal shit? Okay, all right, whatever.
I don't know. Luke, we'll close with this. Would you drink this?
Want to have some juice? Here you go.
Yeah, I'd rather get fucked to death by an 8-dicked walrus.
All right, that may have been the worst shit we've ever seen. I hope you saw it. That was awful. What a bad batch. They can't all win, Luke. Sorry.
They can't all win. You know, that's how life goes.
We'll be back Friday. Thank you for tuning in today. It will be pregame preview UFC 320 brought to you by Cuervo with our good friend Jed Meshew number 2. Check it out Friday, 11 a.m. Eastern. Please follow the show, like, subscribe on social media. Check out our extended YouTube channels. Heck, you spent most of this episode checking out my extended YouTube channel, so thank you very much for that one.
Yeah, we already did.
There's no reason to go there anymore. Also, it's merch time for the final time this September. The exclusives, Black Liver Society, Cracker Barrel, the signed TMNT poster. Get it before it's gone because it ain't coming back. Also, get ready for our October exclusives and check out our evergreen content available for purchase. Mix and match your colors at morningkombat.shop. Nosita, brother. What do you got? Anything?
I got UFC 320 bet breakdown coming out tomorrow. I'm doing Jed's podcast this week, No Bets Barred, so check that out. Prop quiz dropping Friday, watch along Saturday. You know the drill, baby. Let's go.
Hey, LT, I don't know if you saw, but I took home the one hundo from winning the prop quiz tournament.
You won the whole thing?
Upset City against you and Mike Heck, and then I took Shaquille Maljoudi to the woodshed.
You smoked him. Wasn't even close?
It really wasn't.
There was a conspiracy theory, Luke, that you spoiled it on last episode of MK because you called BC the prop quiz champion, and everyone.
Even though I hadn't told you the results.
Exactly. Yeah. You
Trust
no
me
idea.
when I tell you. There's no. I don't care enough to know in advance.
I figured. I was trying to tell everyone.
It doesn't. That's not. I mean, I'm happy for BC, and actually, I do think Long Island Luke's onto something. But like, I have things to do. I'm not in any way paying attention to that. That's funny.
All right, there you go.
Good for you. That's great, man. Dude, everything's coming up, Campbell. Look at this, brother.
I'm on a run right now. I'm on a heater right now. Okay, so let's go. Let's go. LT, do you want to tell the people off to close the show?
Yeah, I'll probably be putting a gun in my mouth after today's episode. It's been fun.
No.
I'm teasing. Friday, as you mentioned, we have pregame. I'm going to race back home as fast as I can. I looked this up, you see. I think the prelim card for PFL is 11. I think the main is a little bit later. Closer to like 2 or 3. I'm not sure.
Well, now,
But-
Luke, you tend to know things.
So I think they have it listed as just one card. They don't have like prelims, and the one card starts at noon. So I think Luke's right. Like the main will be a little later in the day.
Okay, so my point is, I will probably do a post-fight show both for Nurmagomedov Usman 2, as well as, of course, a watch along on a post-fight show for Saturday's UFC 320. Should be a lot of fun.
Good stuff. Check it out there. What do we call your channel? LukeThomas.com?
Just youtube.com/Luke Thomas. That's it.
All right, there it is. There it is. Check it out. Thank you so much for joining us this Monday. Have a great week. It is Fight Week, UFC 320. Let's get fired up. Should be a good one. Very good main card this weekend. So check all that out. Check out our preview on Friday. And until then, take care of yourselves. We are out of here.